get to work or to your families. So again, welcome to the workshop today. Workshop is My Investment Services. Path to Prosperity is the company. The creator is a gentleman by the name of Gary Wilson, and I'll give you a whole big background on him in just a few minutes. My name is Kevin Jaramillo. This is my wife Kathy. We're natives of the city of Las Vegas, so our families have been here. Actually, her grandmother was born here back in 1923.
Wow.
So we're what we call a true native
What?
here in Vegas.
Cool.
And I have to say 23 was probably a ghost town back then, right? There's probably 12 people here. But anyway, that's who we are. But today, what I want to do is make you guys a promise that the things that I'm going to teach you today, and take good notes, that if you take action on what I teach you today, you literally can start in building your business and finding what I'm teaching you tomorrow, okay? Because there's things today that I'm teaching you that brokers don't teach, right? Brokers teach us, because we're both agents, we're primarily investors first, and then we became agents later. But brokers teach you all about how to find a specific kind of transaction, which is the traditional buyer-seller, right? Brokers don't teach, or are there programs out there that teach you guys how to go and find and work with true investors, right? And we'll get into that. So I promise that if you take action, that this 2.5-hour class is just really going to be a land for you. So today, be present, stay focused. You guys are good. Listen, we're agents. We all have our cell phones. I get it if it rings and it's like, oh, I got to talk to my client. 100% I understand. Just step out of the room, take care of your whatever you need, and then come back. Okay? So, but if you silence them, that'd be awesome. Take your notes. Take action. Successful people take action. You guys know who Grant Cardone is? Grant Cardone is a huge real estate investor. About $500 million in his portfolio. Just massive. And so now he's a big speaker and he goes out and around. But Cardone says, knowledge speaks, wisdom listens, but action wins. It's just that important to take action and the type of action that we take, so we'll go over that. So let's see. Today on the screen, you're going to see some links up there, or places to go for this information that I'm giving you. Don't worry if you don't quite get them down right, and the whole URL of the links that I want to give you, I'm going to email them to you tomorrow anyway. Okay, tomorrow you're going to get a follow-up email with a bunch of other information that will help build on what you're learning today, okay? But check your spam and your junk folders, because sometimes you don't normally get an email from me, so it could be in there. And if you don't get it, just reach back out and I'll make sure that you get it, okay? Any questions during the content today, just ask away. I'm here and I'll answer any question that I possibly can. If I don't know the answer, I'll let you know that, and I'll get it from Gary, and then we'll get it sent to you, okay? There is an opportunity at the end of this for you guys to take this training to the next level, but there's a ton of content that I'm going to teach you that's good, solid training, okay? And then today, let's just have fun, interact, and most of all, take action, all right? So, have you ever wondered what it would be like to receive your commission checks as fast or faster than people get a paycheck, right? Because we're real estate agents and we work for commissions, which means we get paid when, Nadia? At the end, yeah, we record. So, we do we work a while till we actually get paid, versus people out there that have JOBs, they have jobs because they like the sense of getting those paychecks every week or every 2 weeks, right? They need that security feeling, and that's why they do that, and they don't become either an agent or some type of entrepreneur, right? They like that feeling. But how would it make you feel after what I'm going to teach you today, and you take action, that your commission checks could actually start coming in as fast or faster than a paycheck, right? That's exactly what I'm going to teach you today. So would you like to learn how to work less but make more money? Because what are the hours, not you, how long have you been an agent?
13 years.
How many hours does an agent do a week?
24 hours, I would say.
Right, exactly. That's a great answer, because I always say that. A real estate agent, we're 24/7 because our clients, especially in our town, because we're 24/7. Oh, come on in. How are you? I'm Kevin.
I'm Josh.
Come on in, Josh.
Hey, Josh.
Real quick, sign in with my wife Kathy there, and then we'll get you seated. This town, since we're a 24/7 town, right? Could you have a client that got off at 11 o'clock at night, and you're in the middle of something going on, and they're like, I got to talk to my agent, and they call you? Or, this is Vegas. Do all the investors who invest in this city live here?
No.
No. Matter of fact, I think most of them don't live here. This is a great city to invest in, and that's why there's so many, because, you know, our values here are still relatively great values comparative to a lot of other markets around the country, right? Mark, you can either, or Josh, you can take it right here. Yeah, so we definitely can be seen like we're 24/7 as an agent, right? So if I can show you how to work less but actually make more money, so you have the freedom for your family or your other passions in life, is that going to make you feel pretty good? All right, Josh, what broker are you with?
Vegas Jewels.
Vegas, right? How long have you been an agent?
This was my first year.
Nice, okay.
Oh,
Good, you want to get in here, so are you doing a full-time or part-time?
Full time.
Full-time, you jumped right in with both feet. Good. We're just talking about the hours of a real estate agent,
Oh, yeah.
right? It's not your typical JOB, you know, 40 hours a week,
Exactly.
right? But we do have the flexibility of owning our own time, right? And that's what a lot of people like doing this, right? Because hey, listen, if I have an anniversary or birthday or whatever, I'm gonna schedule my stuff around that, right? Than if you have a job. So, what you're about to discover, guys, is how to find the right properties for the right investors, and how to find the right investors. Again, I talked about there's multiple kinds of investors, and I'm going to teach you how to find investors who treat their investing like a business and not a hobby. Most of the investors out there that we're going to run into that get referred to as that kind of thing are the hobby type, right? And so when you learn how to attract and find the right investors who are treating it like a hobby, who are trying to build a portfolio for themselves for a future nice retirement, those are the investors we're looking for, right? And trust me, there's a ton of them out there. You just got to know how to find them. And that's why you're here today, right? So let's talk about what's going out there today, not just in our city, but across America in the competition world. So if you knew or you didn't know, we're always going after the traditional transactions, buyer sellers, right? The reality is that investors represent, this is a national average, represent 33% of transactions in any given city. But there's only 1% of agents that are going after and trying to service these people. So are we missing the boat here? 30, now I've got in June, I've got the resources there. Vegas in June is actually 38%, right? So we're at 38% of transactions are investors. Now, if we're averaging 4,000 transactions a month, how many is that a month that the investors are doing? It's like 1,200. So the question now is, how many transactions a month, or Josh, how many transactions a month would make your life, you're like, hey, I'm doing great, I'm pretty good. How many do you need to do that, to achieve that?
2, 3.
2 or 3. 2 or 3, because we're in this big seller's market, and I looked at the other report the other day. The average increase from June to July 17 and 18 was around 12 to 15% in any given zip code. I mean, the numbers have really escalated. So we know we're in this big seller's market. Values are going up like crazy, right? So the investors are here. But when did the investors, what are they all looking for? You were talking about it earlier. The deal.
The deal.
That's a specific kind of investor that's looking for the deal. But we have to define the deal, right? Because if you're working with a flipper, right? Someone who wants to flip a house, yeah, they've got to buy it low. So they're looking for distressed properties or distressed people, right? They're in situations, divorces, you know, we have the Nellis Air Force Base, these guys get transported, they've got to sell their property. So whatever the situation is, that motivates them to sell at below market value. Now that's one type of investor. Now, in this city and in most big cities, if you guys have heard, there's companies that visit these cities a couple, 2, 3 times a year, like an Armando Montalago, or maybe a Than Merrill Fortune Builders, right? These companies that come in and teach people how to flip homes. Because on HGTV today, what's the most popular shows? Flip this, flip that, flip flop, Vegas, Orlando, they're just everywhere, right? And so everybody becomes HGTV junkies, right? I want to go do that. That looks like a lot of fun, they're making a lot of money. You're an agent for 13 years, easier said than done, right? So it's funny because Gary, when he taught me this strategy, he says, those people Gary likes to call flatliners. Not because they don't have a pulse, because they're all going after the same properties. The problem is, and again, this is different types of investors, they're all going after the types of properties that are classified as C minus, just as we said. They're distressed, they've been beat up, neglected, whatever, and you've got to buy them at least 30% to 40% below market value, and then dump your money into a flipper, right? That's what flipping is all about. Well, Gary, his career, his first half of his life was in corporate banking, and then at the age of 40, he retired from that and decided to get into real estate because he was working with realtors in the banking arena. But what he figured was he was mainly working with investors. So when he became an agent with Keller Williams, and he's been an agent since, so he's about on year 17 or something, or 15, he said, you know what, I'm not going to go there just yet. I'm going to go after the investors that treat it like a business, okay? People that want to grow their businesses vertically and not horizontally. Because Gary himself, at the age of 22, is when he bought his first investment property with a friend of his. They went in partners and bought a buy and hold property. And what happened with Gary is over the next 17 years to develop and own 42 properties. So it took him 17 years to do that. Now, owning 42 properties is a pretty nice deal, right? Would you like to own 42 properties? Absolutely. You've got some cash flow going. You've got the renters paying down, you know, your loan on there, so you're building really good equity, right? But once he became the agent and started working with investors who treat it like a business, investors that are going to go out and start and buy maybe their duplex or even single family, the money that they make there, save it up to go buy a fourplex, save all of that money to go over here, buy the eightplex, and just keep building. Because it's about building a portfolio over time, right? So if they want to treat it like a business, they have a big plan. It's not about, where's my next house I'm going to flip? It's a bigger picture. And so when I talk to you guys today about how you're going to be able to help your investor correctly and why they're going to want to work with you versus another agent who doesn't really understand, all they're looking for is that quick commission, closing. You're going to actually help build a portfolio and build relationships with these people, okay? So does that make sense? So when Gary figured out this right here, in his first 5 years as being an agent, it took him 5 years to get up to 250 doors. So 17 years to get to 42, and then the next 5, he grew it to 250. Because he learned by working with these people, he was making a lot of what?
No.
A lot of commissions, a lot of money. And as you're an agent, are there agents in this city that make $400, $500, $600, $1 million a year? Absolutely. So the question is, are you going to raise your lifestyle, or are you going to put your money to work? Right? Because Warren Buffett says, until we learn how to make money while we sleep, wealth is not going to happen for you, right? And the only way, so you got to put your money to work. It's not about making all these commissions and living in the mansions and the $100,000 cars and that kind of stuff, right? I'm not saying don't do that when you make enough money. Enjoy your hard the fruits of your labor, but you need to put your money to work, and that's exactly what Gary did, right? He was very frugal with his money. He says, I make money and I put it right back to work, and then again was able in 5 years to grow his business by 200 doors. Pretty impressive, yeah. So that's what we're going to talk about today: is how that happened. How did he do that? And he did it with no assistance and free or almost free marketing. Is free good? So let's talk about Gary. So Gary Wilson, like I said, he retired at years, he was 40 years of age from corporate banking. If you've ever had JOBs in your corporate world, you're just the bean counters will eliminate you any minute, right? So he created a 6-figure income in 6 months working with investors, right? And he completed over 100 transactions a year consistently over the next several years. In his 4th year, he actually broke his back in 2 places, and he almost didn't work for half the year, and he still managed to do 55 transactions in that year. Would 55 transactions be a good year for you, Nadia?
No.
That'd be an awesome year. That'd be an awesome year. And again, and he did it without a sales team, assistance, with free or almost free marketing, and that's what I'm going to show you today. Because let's talk about marketing. I mean, this is a business, right? We're agents. This is our little business. And like if you're selling pizzas, cars, trees, whatever, every business has to market, right? We've got to go find business. And in the marketing world, How much money can you spend on marketing, Steve? You own that store.
Unlimited.
It is, it's totally, I mean, $10 a month, $1 million a month, I mean, the gamut's huge. So obviously, we want to stay within our limits and not overspend on marketing, but you have to spend money to make money, right or wrong? Right? So on marketing, I want you guys to just share with me some of the things that you're doing, marketing right now. Nadia, what are you doing for marketing right now?
Facebook.
Facebook? So I'm gonna mark that down as social media, right? Because we can definitely spend some money on social media, Facebook. Steve, what are you doing?
I'm not doing a whole lot. When I sell property, I do the flyers, just sold the flyer
Okay,
or postcard.
flyer
And then I do.
or postcard?
Yeah, I do one, direct,
Direct mail?
yeah.
Okay.
Direct mail.
So you're all right, you got direct mail.
And open houses. So
Open house.
Open houses is your time, but even though it's your time, does it cost money to do an open house? Well, sure, because you probably should bring, like this time of year, I hope you're bringing some cold waters for the people that walk through. Some people, depending, you may bring some, cookies or whatever, so you might spend a couple of bucks, nothing crazy, but you just want to have a nice open house, right? Josh, you spend any money on marketing right now?
Mainly on the materials for marketing, because I do a lot of door-to-door.
So you do door knocking?
Yeah.
Okay. Door knocking, have success doing that yet?
Yeah.
Yeah, door knocking definitely works. It's probably one of the oldest strategies in, is being an agent, right?
How you do this in this hot weather?
All right? I'm not saying it works. Is it for everyone? No, right? It's not. But when you're new, Josh is new, he's like, I'm sure he's probably going after your sphere of influence. Maybe you went through that Rolodex that you have, right? Now I gotta get out there and start pounding the
I've
pavement.
been doing marketing and sales for over 10 years.
Okay,
So the transition was kind of smooth for me.
okay.
And door knocking, I've been doing it for 3 years. So,
Okay.
it-
So no fear of the door knocking, engaging, building some quick rapport, and then, trying to find someone who's in the position to buy or sell a house, right?
And then we do events too.
Okay.
Because I'm bilingual, so he set me up in
Huge.
in a Spanish community where I can cater to folks that work in casinos.
There you go, there you go. So those things obviously cost money to put on, right? I'm sure those are hundreds of dollars, if not 1,000 or whatever bucks. So my point is, we can all spend money on marketing as we should. But when I show you today how to spend not a lot of money. So if we were thinking, if you wanted to be effective on social media, what do you think monthly we should spend? Being effective, because you can spend $10, $5 a day if you want, or 100 a day or whatever, but what do you think would be a fair number? And I like to be real conservative, so just give me a fair number if you think
100 a week.
100 a week?
1,000 a month, I don't know, 500 a month, 1,000.
100 a week, let's just say 400 a month. I mean, that's, for some people, that can get expensive, right, Nadia?
Yeah.
All right, on flyers and postcards, so you got postage. Now, that's a numbers game, right? But going this direction of marketing it's a numbers game. We're throwing as much against the wall to see what sticks, right? But what conservatively could we invest monthly on flyers and postcards?
500?
Yeah, because should you send, is 100 postcards or 100 flyers enough? Or do we need to be sending in the thousands of them,
Right.
right? To be effective, thousands. So, yeah, you could probably easily do a $250 a month campaign. What'd you say, Josh? That's pretty conservative? You know what I mean? That's a couple thousand or whatever.
That's consistently, that's not.
The same with the direct mail, right? Door knocking's your time, right? And events, that's a gamut. Who knows? You could spend 200, you could spend, 2,000 or more, right? It just depends. Getting the room, getting everything, it definitely could get expensive. And so I'm gonna talk about a strategy that's similar to that, but doesn't have to have that type of investment. Does that make sense? So again, we can easily see, to be able to get to that 2 or 3 transactions per month that we all want as an agent, right? That will make you over 10 grand a month, that should hopefully, be a decent lifestyle for most of you. I mean, minimum, you're probably looking at about 500 a month. Would that sound fair?
Yeah.
That's conservative. And a lot of agents spend a lot more. And who spends the most money in marketing? The really successful agents, the ones that are out there making that 700 grand a year or whatever, right? They know they're gonna spend $5,000 to $10,000 a month, but they're okay because would you trade $5,000 a month investment to make 30,000 bucks? Of course. Problem is, it's a leap of faith in the beginning, and nobody usually just starts off with $5,000 anyway. It's a build-up, right, Josh? Doing in marketing. If you don't have a strategy that can eliminate all of this, right? So today, I'm gonna show you that strategy,
Well,
okay? I'm gonna show you that that's not necessary, because we're gonna go after not the traditional buyer and seller, but the investor, okay? So as we can see here, portfolio, over 250 rental units. He built and sold 3 businesses, built 5 and sold 3 businesses. He's traded over 3,000 investment properties in 5 years. He's got some awards of excellence because it was with Keller Williams, and in case you didn't know, Keller Williams is the brokerage that has the most training. Those guys are like training gurus over there. So he actually became a certified Keller Williams trainer, and that's why he's an author, speaker, founder of the Profit System, and he's taught over 10,000 agents, right? That's how this whole program was developed, because he's taught so many agents, he's spoken to so many agents who are exactly like you guys, right? Like, I just want more deals. And we're in a city that's a seller market, so everybody's going after them, right? So let's do a quick, right now, a self-assessment. What do you need right now? What do you dream of achieving, right? Where are you in the real estate hierarchy, right? Are you in the 5% bracket, up high, or down at the bottom, right? Where are you right now, right? In what area do you need to take action? You all have your own business. Everybody knows their strengths and weaknesses, right? So where are you? Where do you think you're kind of falling short on taking the action that could get you where you really want to be, right? You know what I mean? So we got to really take that assessment. So I want you today to write this down and review at the end of the class. What's one objective that you have for today's class? You saw the marketing I sent you, and you're like, let me go check that thing out. And what kind of nugget did you think, like, when I come to this class, if I could learn this, hopefully that'll build my business. Because anytime we all go do trainings, which is as an agent, they're everywhere and all the time, right? On top of our CE classes that we always have to do. So just kind of ask yourself and write that down, and we're going to review at the end what you wrote down. I want to make sure that you came here and you're getting something out of this class. So at the end of the class, you're like, man, that was totally worth my time. Okay? Does that make sense? So I'm going to show you today 3 tools and 4 strategies on how to find the right investors. Now, I've already described the right investors. We're not really going after the flatliners. Because, you know, when these companies come to town and all these people sign up for those programs, first thing they do is they go out there and call as many real estate agents as they can. Hey, hi, Nadia. I'm John, and listen, I'm a real estate investor, and I need you to help me find 50 properties that I can flip so I can retire. I mean, that's crazy. That's just not going to happen, right? It's just not a reality. So they need to be kind of woken up. That's not how it works, okay? And I'm not saying, guys, don't work with these people, because are there people out there flipping homes that are good business people and do a good job? Absolutely. A lot of them, when they're new, though, they need a lot of hand-holding, and you got to really teach them the business, right? Again, we're going after these guys. The people that either already have a portfolio and they're building on it, or want to get in and build a portfolio, right? Because anytime we meet an investor, they can have a portfolio. Could be 1 property or 100. We don't know until we start having conversations. So the first tool I'm going to show you is called the School Report. It's about gathering data. It's about all the marketing we talked about is throwing as much against the wall as we can, right, with our marketing dollars to see what, you know, will fall in our laps. This here is about information. And in this example, Gary put together, because Gary's from Pennsylvania, and there's a bunch of different school districts in Pennsylvania. We live in Las Vegas, like I was saying earlier, we're natives. How many school districts are in the city? 1, the Clark County School District. So my wife and I, this is a spreadsheet that I can share with you, and it would just be blank, you fill it in yourself. That is the sale price of a house, 100 grand to 1.5, and you can adjust that if you like. And then instead of putting in the different school districts, because we only have 1, we do it actually a couple of different ways. We can fill it in by the MLS map code, area 604, 502, whatever that is, right? We can do it by the high schools, because most people have specific high schools they may want to go live by. Yeah, they want to live where their kids are going to, right, go to the better school kind of thing. Some don't, right? Or we can go by zip codes. Like I said, I was just reading the other day the zip code map and what areas percentage-wise over the last 12 months have gone the highest. So as an investor, where does the investor want to go? Yeah, he wants to go put his money to work where he knows it's gonna gain, right? Because our investors are buy and hold investors. These are people that are building portfolios. Those people want to do. So I'm gonna give you an example on this one here. So let's say, Mr. Investor, you get him on the phone, I'll teach you how to do that in a few minutes. And he says, listen, Kev, my budget right now, I need you to find me a property that's between 250 and 300,000. Don't go over 300. I can't go over that budget, that's my budget on this next house. Okay, great, I wanna make sure that it's in a good area, the rent rolls are high, and the values are gonna grow. Great, so I've already built my spreadsheet. So in Gary's case here, if we go over to the chart here, the 250 to 300, because I'm instructed not to go over 300, in this first area here in Hopewell, 4 sold, 4 active. What is that? Flat market, right? Not that big a deal there. 17 sold, 11, not too bad. 4 sold, 9 active. That's probably not an area I'd probably go try to find the property for them. But if we head down here to Seneca, 35 sold, 13 available, active. What kind of an area is that? It's a hot area. People want to live there. So we're going to find out why that area is hot, why they want to live there. But now, for me, servicing, because we're here to serve our clients, right? Am I going to go try to find them because of a pricing deal over here? Or I know long-term, this is the better property for me, right? That's what I want to do. Now, my client may tell me, hey, Kev, I want to buy one of the bigger houses, right? I want to buy something that's in that $500,000 range. Clearly, there's nothing in Hopewell, right? 1 sold, 3 active. That can't be that great area. We come back down, it's not too bad over here. 11 and 14, even at that range. So Seneca, on this example, seems to be the area. Seems to be the area where the good values are, that probably they're going to get some good rentals, right? Again, about building portfolios here. Those are the investors we're looking for. So let me ask you, Josh, how long have you been in the city?
I've been here for 8 years.
Okay. In this city, you've been here the longest, Nadia. On any given street in Las Vegas, how many rentals are there? Probably at least 5. Would that be fair?
I don't know. But
There's about 5. I'm going to prove that to you in a little bit. Yeah. Our city has a lot of rentals. And just by definition, if it's a rental, Steve, who owns it? An investor owns it. The thing is, we don't know yet if that person, when we find that property and it's a rental, is it his only rental or has he got a portfolio? And so we're going to find that out. So again, so in this particular case, what happens is you just start with your blank spreadsheet. You're going to gather all this data, obviously from the MLS. You want to build this thing out. We want to know where all the best areas are. So you're going to do some research, fill this out. Is it going to take a little bit of time to fill this out? I think ours took me about 2.5 hours, 2.5, 3 hours. But now you have at your disposal where they are instead of just trying to search on the MLS and figure it out. You've already done the homework. Now, if you're speaking to an investor and you show him your spreadsheet, what's he going to think of you, Josh?
Yeah,
Here's a guy who has a good pulse on the market. He knows what's going on. Am I more likely to work with someone like Josh than another agent who goes, well, let me just see what's available on the MLS and I'll get back to you? Right? You've just impressed them because you've taken the time to get the data of where the areas are. And again, we never know when an investor what they want. And it's funny because some of them want to be slumlords, right? They don't care because slumlords don't have to put money in their properties. The other guys do because they got to keep the values up, right? So we never know. We got to be able to service all of them. Okay? So that's the school report. That's the first tool.
How far back do you go on the sold?
Great question, great question. I'm changing mine right now about every 4 months.
4 months.
I don't need to do it monthly. Our market's not changing monthly that much. 4 months, I think is pretty good right now, right? If and when we turn to a buyer's market, it probably may stretch longer, right? Because things just aren't going to move that much. But I think in our market, if we know that in 1 year's time, the average is 12% in a given zip code in the city, it's moving, it's changing. But I think 3 to 4 months should be enough. Okay, so let's talk about melissadata.com. Has any of you heard of this website?
No.
No? Jot that one down. you're definitely gonna use this website. Now, I explained earlier, Josh, before you came in, all of the website addresses, the URLs you're actually gonna get tomorrow in an email, because the URL address to find this page, I'm gonna give you so you don't have to try to search it. melissadata.com is a huge website with just tons and tons of data. Some of the data you have to pay for. This particular part of their website, you don't, it's free, okay, so we can go in there. Now, we talked earlier on the example that my client wanted me to find him a house no more than 300,000. Okay, you gotta find me a house, I can't go over 300 grand. Cool, so I found it, I found that zip code over there in Seneca. So let's say, so this is the zip code, he told me don't go over 300, and so here's what came up on Melissa Data. And I've got 1, 2, 3 areas out of the 7 that are under 300. So would I even look at the ones that are over 300? I'm not even gonna look. It's a waste of time because my client told me don't go over 300,000. Now, you can see the little button here that says map. What happens when you push that button is the map shows up in a polygram, just like we can do on the MLS, right? It shows you that exact area. So it's a polygram. So now we know where the exact houses are. Now, Melissa Data is going to tell us a lot more information. It's going to tell us the average household income. It's going to tell us how many residential counts are in there, right? I'm going to show you a tool in a while here that this really comes into play, because are we going to try to go after every one of these homes? No, not everybody's wanting to sell their house. It also shows us the apartment count in this zip code, because we just plug in a zip code, right? So over here, there's no apartments in that area, they're all residential, and then it shows us the business count. Josh, why would it be important to know the business count in the zip code area of where these houses are?
I want to know if there's any movement, you want to make sure that the movement's busy, things are happening in the neighborhood.
Yeah, we want to be in an area that, I mean, how close do you want to live to your grocery store, right? Do you want to travel 30 minutes to the grocery store, or do you want it to be 5 or 8 minutes down the road, right? Do you want to know that there's restaurants you don't have to travel far for? So all these things, this data that people want to know, is that an area that I want to live in? The investors, I want to have a rental where I know the rent, I'm going to get good renters because, hey, there's a good business count in that area, or there's not a good business count, right? So all of this data is good data to know to start to narrow down our search, and we don't have to spend all that money marketing trying to figure it out, right? I mean, when we spend all this money marketing, again, it's just, there's thousands of homes out there, we're marketing to all of them. We don't need to do that. It's a waste a lot of money, right? So melissadata.com is going to break that down for us. Now, if we change zip codes, right, and we get in there, the difference here is there's more. You see all the houses here, but I pulled this one up mainly for the apartment count, because you may have an investor that says, I don't want to buy a single family home right now, I need you to find me multifamily, duplex, fourplex, eightplex, whatever, right? So melissadata.com is going to tell us the apartment count in that area, because back here, we know that if he asks you for multifamily, you're like, not in that area, there isn't any. But in this zip code, which is not far away, there is. Now, when we see a number like 177, that doesn't mean that's a big one unit, right? That could be 10 different units, small ones. We don't know yet. You have to actually click on the map, go in there and search, and see what's actually for sale in there, right? Again, narrowing down. So Steve, when we want to send that letter campaign, do I want to send out 500 letters or maybe 25 letters? I just want to increase my odds of finding the properties that are going, maybe not necessarily for sale, but maybe for sale, and we'll talk about that, okay? And then again, back to the business count. We want to make sure if there's no businesses there, you're going to end up probably traveling pretty far just to go to the grocery store. Is that going to be somewhere that somebody wants to rent? So I'm not going to buy a house there or have my investor buy one there because he's not going to get it rented. He's going to be pissed off at me. You have me buy a house and I can't get anybody to go live out there, right? So this is all information that's free on melissadata.com. So again, who likes free? Raise your hand. We all like free. Free is good, all right? Again, you'll get this URL tomorrow on the follow-up email, right? So you have all that. Because if you just go to Melissa Data, I remember the first time I tried to find it, it was like 20 minutes. I'm like, where is this stupid page? So you're gonna get the whole thing, so don't worry. All right, so the next one is the city planning sites. Our investors that we're talking to, right, they have budgets, they have criteria, they want specific properties. And we've got to keep narrowing down the search, narrowing it down, narrowing it down. Let me ask you, Nadia, have you sold any houses to investors who are giving you specific criteria? Yeah, right? And some of them, as they're building those portfolios, learn over time, man, maybe I don't want to rent to the young families anymore, because every time they move out, I got to go spend $1,000 or $1,500. Repainting, new carpet, it gets expensive, right? Because a family who's raising kids, you know, toddlers to teenagers, can they beat a house up? Heck yeah, they can. So, and that's kind of normal. So in some cases, do you think if you rented to some people that are getting ready to be in their retirement years, probably take care of a property a little better, wouldn't you think? Most of the time, I'm not saying 100% of the time, but most of the time, we'll go on that. So right here, we could tell that in Pennsylvania, in this county, and the Avalon Borough, the data on what's going on demographically. So in that area, this is the ages, and the highest number of people living in this area, 399, is 50 to 54. What does that data kind of tell us? It's more of an early retirement type neighborhood. There's probably not a lot of kids running around through there, right? Because most of them are a little older. We also can find out the males, females thing, the demographic, white, black, American, Asian. Are there specific neighborhoods in any given city that are more dominant in one of these types, right? Now this is the Asian area, this is the Hispanic area, right? This is where they are. That's not good or bad, that's just how cities get laid out, right? And so maybe you have an Asian investor says, hey, listen, I want to make sure my properties, I want to service and rent to my community, the Asians, so I want to make sure that that's where I go. So you got to know those things. Otherwise, you're just asking people and going on some maybe unreliable sources. This data right here is done on the census, that's the US Census, that happens every 10 years, right? Is when they change it. So going in there and finding all of this data, again, to help narrow down that search to know in a specific area how many properties are for sale, okay? So we don't have to market to thousands of people, we only need to market to 50 or 100 people for any specific what we're looking for, and then find them, okay? Now in ours, obviously, ours is the county, so it'd be Clark County planning site, because we're Clark County here, right? This was the city in Pennsylvania. So I'm going to teach you now 4 marketing strategies, and the first one is this booklet that Gary came up with. So I'm going to kind of bring you up to speed on how this booklet came about. Remember I shared with you that Gary had broke his back about 4th year in the business, right? Well, he's laid up in the hospital, and he's got his family to feed, and he's got investors that he's got to service. And so he's in the hospital with a broken back, and he's still working diligently. And he's driving his nurses crazy. She's like, Mr. Wilson, you've got to stop moving. You broke your back. We're trying to help you heal up, right? He said, well, I got to keep working. I've got clients, investors that I've got commitments to. I've got a family to feed, so I need to keep working. And they're like, well, you need to do it without moving very much. So he does what he does, but he still keeps working. So the day before he's getting ready to get out of the hospital, his doctor comes to him and says, Mr. Wilson, so you're getting ready to get out of here tomorrow, but you need to go do therapy. You still need to be very easy and light on your feet. And my nurses keep telling me that, like, you're a workaholic and you just don't stop working in your bed. What is it that you do that's so important that you're risking your health? And he shares with the doctor. He says, well, doc, I'm a real estate agent. I have lots of investors that are depending on me, and my family I have to feed, so I can't afford to stop working. I have to work. And the doctor says, okay, I can appreciate that, but you know, you got to think of your health. He says, but you know, so you're a real estate agent who works with real estate investors. It's real interesting. He says, do you think you can kind of share that with me and tell me what that's all about? Because I've actually, over the past year or so, been thinking about, you know, I've got some excess capital and I've been thinking about investing in real estate. I just don't know how or where to start. So Gary says, sure, no problem. Let's meet up in a few days and I'll break it all down for you, and if I can help you, I will. Doc says, okay, I'll see you in a few days. You're getting out tomorrow. So the day before he's supposed to go meet with the doctor, doctor calls Gary up, and he says, hey, Gary, it's Doc, we're gonna meet tomorrow, right? And you're gonna show up? Yeah, absolutely, we're gonna meet tomorrow at 6 o'clock. He says, listen, I've got a couple of friends that wanna sit in on this meeting, because they also are thinking about investing. Is it okay that they, sit in on this meeting? So Gary's like, yeah, okay, what's another one? Well, how many people are you talking? Gary, and he's on the phone. What do you think Gary did on the other line? He's like, yeah, no problem. If I can teach you, I can teach 20, right? So then he goes on, he hangs up, he's gonna see you the next day. Now, a lot of agents will have something like this. This is actually a home inspector one. Something that you would hand out telling them where you work, what brokerage you're with, what you do, just a little information on who and what you are, right? This is fairly common, rather than just a business card. Well, Gary knew that if he showed up to the meeting with a stack of these types of things, with some smart guys that probably have a lot of money, and he wanted to convert them, that was probably not gonna work. So he worked all night long putting together this, this booklet. I'm gonna show you the one on here. I've got a couple of samples. You can look at that one and pass it to Steve and Nadia. This one is actually my booklet, my wife and I, that we pass out, that we mail out here in Vegas. So let's start with the front page. As you can see, the front page is the booklet. It has a question at the top. And it says, where the smart money is. Now that's a question, right? And by human nature, we're just inquisitive people. You want to know the answer to that. Well, I've answered the answer for you. And in Gary's view up here, it says, investing in Pittsburgh real estate. Obviously, mine says investing in Las Vegas with a photograph of Las Vegas. So I'm going to show you how to make these booklets. That's what you would do. You would build your booklet, put the picture of your city up here, and ask the same exact question. And then underneath there, now it's going full disclosure who you are, right? In my particular case, I have my investment company that's called My Affinity Homes, and then my broker that I'm with is 048 Realty, and then I have all of my information down there. On the first page, it's just a quick paragraph that, Steve, do me a favor, read that first paragraph real quick.
On the first page.
Yeah, there you go.
Are you like most other business owners and some of our other clients and are fed up with the stock market and financial advisors telling you just to be patient? Have you previously considered investing in real estate? Do you think it was too time consuming? Then please call or email me to find out how you can finally begin putting your hard-earned money to good use. We not only invest in real estate, we invest in people just like you. It's easier than you may have thought. We look forward to helping you. Please take the first step and call today. There are no obligations.
So that's a quick short paragraph. It took about 22, 25 seconds to read, right? So that whole booklet goes on to have, on the next page, a little bio of my wife and myself, and then a little bio of my company, Affinity Homes, just kind of being them on. Then the page that you're looking at right now, Nadia, is showing the first part of that is a pro forma. These are numbers when you get ready to buy a property, that these are all the estimated numbers, right, of what that property potentially could do. And then the following page after that is on that actual property, what happened 11 years later. Short story, it basically says in there that that property was purchased for about $42,000, I think it says. The investor put $5,000 down, the renter serviced the loan, and over an 11-year period, he got to have his write-offs. He made a $3,000 a year monthly annual cash flow on it, and then sold that property and made a net profit of $30,000. So to turn $5,000 into an annual cash flow for 11 years of $3 grand a year and making 30 grand on top of that, not bad. Not a home run, but not bad. If you had 10 of those, Steve, would that be good? Yeah, for sure, right? So that's what it shows. And then in my particular booklet, because I am an investor also, and I flip homes, I also send this booklet out to find investors who just want to put money to work with me, and I can give them returns of 8 to 12%. Everyone's different on all my deals. I have different options that I'll give an investor who has money on how to do a deal with me. But is 8 to 12% a lot better than they can get in most places? Absolutely, right? The bank isn't giving you any money. And so we've learned that people with money invest in one of two places, Nadia. Where do you think that is? Stock market, real estate. That's where they go. Now, who are these people? Who would I send this to? If I'm going to send these out, who would I send it to, Josh? You've been in marketing.
Professionals, people that are have a pretty decent income.
I'm gonna call them high-income earners. Are there a lot of high-income earners in any given city? We're talking dentists, chiropractors, whatever field of doctor that you wanna be in, right? Small business owners, because there's a ton of small business owners, right? People that are making anywhere over 250 grand a year, right? They start making 3, 4, 5, 600 grand a year, they're like, well, my lifestyle is like 150 a year, which is a nice lifestyle, right? So they figure, well, I gotta put this money to work, and that's what they're deciding. Stock market, real estate, some dabble in both, but they usually pick one or the other. And some folks who've invested in the stock market for a while aren't getting the returns they like, you know what, I tried that for 5 years, I'm going over here. Everybody I know that has money is investing in real estate, I'm going over here. So that's exactly who we wanna send these booklets to, right? So Gary's strategy is, as new agents learning how to do this, is only to send out 25 per month for 12 months. That's a total of 300 booklets, right? Now, how much do you think, Steve, you were in that business, would it cost to print one of these things up, right? You got the plastic clear at the top,
Couple bucks.
and then mail it out, right? If you went down to Office Max, so I did this years ago, to have them print you one of these, they're about 20 bucks if you go to Office Max. But you can do this at home. I am all in, including stands, including postage, $270 per each. Now, at $270 per each, and I've only got to mail out 25 a month, what's my investment? That's 65 bucks. 65 bucks. Is that good? That's a lot less expensive than these other things we described, right? 65 bucks, 25 a month. Now, now the question is, who am I gonna mail them to? Right? We know it's the professional, but how do I get that name and address?
So we narrow that down.
That's my.
We gotta narrow that down. Awesome. So, we know they're out there. We don't wanna drive around and find them. So where do you think would be a good place to find a name and an address to a professional to mail that to? Title company might have it.
Post office.
We used to get this book every 6 months. Every 6 months, we used to get a book on our porch. What was that book? The Yellow Pages. Now, we don't get the book anymore because we don't have to, because technology allows it to be yellowpages.com. So they're still out there, they're just online. We don't get the book, right? So in our city, one of the ways that you can do it, because there's multiple ways, I found that go to yellowpages.com, they have their search bar on there, type in doctor, it's gonna tell you all the different doctors that are available, right? Neurosurgeons, whatever kind of doctor, and click on one, and on any given doctor that you're gonna pick, there's gonna be pages and pages of doctors, right? Because there's doctors' offices everywhere. Now, on the Yellow Pages, very similar to Yelp, they have reviews. 1 to 5 stars, right? And however many reviews. If I got 5, does that doctor have 5 reviews, or does he have 75 reviews? Is he getting a 2-star review, is he getting a 5-star review? Why would this help us, Nadia? Why do we want to know this? Go ahead.
You want to look for the ones that are most commonly active and have the best ratings to give you a better edge of these people are doing really well versus these individuals are.
They will make more money.
Boom, boom, right? Because if they've got 5-star, 75+ reviews, right? That tells us that they're busy and everybody loves them, which means they're making money, right? Versus a 2-star, 7 review doctor might not be crushing it.
Can you where are you gonna get the address?
It's again, when you pull that up, you'll see the name of the doctor.
But.
So you mail to their office?
You mail to the
But
office.
it's the office.
Yeah, you mail to the
That's
office.
why.
So now, when we mail this is critical, this is critical. This thing goes in a large yellow manila envelope. You're not gonna roll it up or do anything like that, right? Now, doctors are no different than you and me. We get home every day, we check our mail, and it's a stack. And what do? Junk mail, junk mail, junk mail. What's this, right? Now, when we put this thing in a large manila envelope, you're going to handwrite the doctor's name and the address and your return name. I use my broker's address. I don't put my personal home address on there. So now when he's rolling through all of his mail, which they get a lot, magazines, all this other stuff, right? What do you think the open rate is when it's handwritten to him and he fills this thing inside? The open rate is 90+% because it's curiosity, just as a human. What is that? Who sent me what? And he opens this thing up, and what's the first thing he reads? Where the smart money is. And we actually answered the question for him, investing in Las Vegas, and they're gonna go through. The first paragraph is 20-something seconds to read. So, like any marketing, we're trying to capture the person at the time that they want to obviously start investing, or they are currently investing, and this is a very professional, piece of information here that they can go through, right? And they'll read through that, and at the end of the day, this is all designed to do what? Let's get them on the phone. Call me, because if they've called you, because they received this, you're already what? You're 3/4 of the way home now. You're 3/4 of the way home. They've called, they're curious, what's what? But that's where the game starts. Because if you don't know how to have the right conversations with a person who already maybe has a start of a portfolio or a big one or just getting started, it's kind of like fishing, right? When you're out there fishing and you feel that fish tugging on your bait like he's nibbling at it, right? You got to set that hook. You got to get it in. You got to reel that thing and get them in the boat. Same with investors, right? We get on the phone and we got to have the right conversations. And they're all vetting conversations, right? Are most people who are investing going to be very open and tell you everything, right? Because one of the questions is, are you currently an investor? You might say, yeah, I am. Awesome. Are you starting a portfolio or are you building a portfolio? I'm kind of starting, but what does that mean? Could maybe just have 3 properties, 5, I don't know. Because maybe he's got 10, but his buddy's got 75. For him, he feels he's starting because his buddy's got 75, right? So a lot of questions are going to come across that you have to learn how to vet them properly and ultimately get to the main question, which is, so how much capital do you have that you want to use to invest in your business, in your portfolio here, right? That's the question. And that question could be, hey, I've got an extra $50,000, $100,000, $500,000, we don't know. But let's say Mr. Johnson, the investor you've got on the phone, says, well, Steve, I like what you sent me. I definitely do want to pick up a property, and right now I've got $300,000. So can you find me a property for $300,000? Steve, would you go find Mr. Johnson one property for $300,000 and, nice, good deal that makes sense, all the numbers make sense?
I would ask him if you wanted to use leverage and buy multiple properties.
Exactly, you want to show them. But we got to remember, people on the professional level all went to school and trained to do what they do. So doctors know how to doctor. They don't know anything about investing, and probably most of them are conservative, and they're very debt adverse. They're like, I don't have any debt, so I'm going to build a portfolio. I got to pay cash for everything. But it's your job and responsibility as a trained agent to show him the power of leveraging, how you can buy how many properties. Let's say on a medium household in this city is what, right around 300,000, right? So at a 25% down, as all investors need to put down, how much money is that for a down payment? $50,000, right? And if your investor just told you had $300,000 to start or grow his portfolio further, how many properties could you go find for him? 6. You're going to go find 6 properties, right? So you've just by finding one investor who told you he has $300,000 created 6 transactions. Now, are you going to buy all 6 in 1 month? Maybe, maybe not. Just depends how fast you can find it, right? I showed you some of the tools, and we're going to get a little deeper on another tool that I like to use locally here on how to go find those properties, because the properties aren't always on the MLS. Oftentimes they're not. Oftentimes they're not. But the problem is, agents that are taught to go find traditional buyers and sellers are strictly relying on that, or relationships, pocket listings, that kind of thing, right? We can find it. So this here is sending out the high income earner / small business owner, people that we know are making money that want to put it to work and start investing. Does that make sense? Any questions on the booklet? As I show you the other 3 strategies, there's a question up here and I want you to write this down and we'll review at the end, is how many transactions will you get with this method in 1 year? If you mail out 25 of these every month, so that's 300 for the year, how many transactions, not clients, but transactions do you think? And so this number should just, don't try to do math, just kind of your gut tells you, you know what, I can get whatever that number is. Just so, jot down booklet and then whatever number next to it, and we'll review later on that, okay? What do you think, Nadia? What do you think that could do for you?
I'm thinking
Okay.
different stuff right now that I will ask you later.
Okay.
How can we, go ahead, I'm sorry.
When we're talking about the leverage
Uh-huh.
and you're gonna buy 6 properties, if you put 50,000 in every property and buy these 6 properties, it doesn't mean that you're gonna have a cash flow, because the prices right now, and the rents that you're gonna collect, if you put just 50,000 in one house, which is 300,000,
Mhm.
you're not gonna have cash flow. So if you sell this house to the doctor and you rent it, and he will see that he has to pull out from his pocket every month to pay the difference between the mortgage
Yep.
and the rent, how are you gonna justify this?
It's a great question. And so, as agents working with investors, one of two things. You're either gonna have a doctor who knows nothing about real estate and what you just described, or he has, or you need to teach him. Every deal, just like in the booklet, shows an example of the pro forma, which is the before numbers that you calculated, and then obviously, time will tell you later what it did. So, on the pro forma, there's what's called the deal analyzer, that you will plug in all of these numbers, that will tell you what the ROI is on any given property once you analyze it. And it'll break it all the way down, because a lot of novice investors will say, well, I bought the property for $X, I put $X down, and I'm renting it, and I'll just use examples. Let's say the service the debt on a $300,000 house, 50 grand, that's $250,000 mortgage. Presuming the doctor's got decent credit and he's getting the best rates out there, payment on $250K is about what, $1,400 a month? Right?
Yeah.
So depending on where you found this house, if we found it in the better neighborhoods, we're not looking down here in the bottom, we're looking at the better neighborhoods, Summerlin, in our case, let's just call it Summerlin or the good parts of Green Valley, where the rents up there are higher, right? Because are the rents in this city been going up or down?
Oh,
Up, crazily up. Rents are like at an all-time high almost, right? In a lot of cases, it's definitely cheaper to buy a home than to pay rent somewhere, right? Because rents are so high. So the answer to your question is, that's all gonna come down. When you find that property, you can stick it in that deal analyzer. I like to educate my investor on how they can, because they're the ones that decide what they're willing to make and not make, right? That's not our job to tell them if it's a break even or they want at least a $200 or $300 a month positive cash flow, right? That's their decision, that's not our decision. Our decision is to bring them a property that is a good income earner, right? It's getting good rents in a good area, because I know the value is gonna grow over time. Let me ask you, on a traditional sale, Nadia, what is the average hold time for a buyer? How long will they live in that house until he's ready to sell again?
at least 5 or 6.
5 to 7 years. 5 to 7 years is the national average. Do you know what the hold time for an investor is on average? 9 to 11.
Maybe
And the
more.
reason it's 9 to 11, they need to hold on, they want to hold on to them longer because they're cash flowing all those years, but more importantly, they're getting that debt serviced and building that equity. Because should you hold on to the house forever? 30 years, a mortgage? No. Remember, we're investing. They're about growing money. So they're not emotional. When we deal with traditional buyers and sellers, we're dealing with emotions and personalities, and that's kind of what sometimes makes this job a little tough, is because you're dealing with all different kinds of people, right? And sometimes I say, maybe you're like an adult babysitter, right? Like, oh, this client's driving me crazy. They can't make a decision. They want this one or that one, right? Nadia, have you had clients that kind of drive you a little nutty?
Oh, well,
They are.
it's okay.
They're out there. It's okay. So once you can train, once you learn how and train to train your investor to fill out that deal analyzer quickly. So you say, I found you 3 properties. You either can say, I'll do that deal analyzer for you and fill it out, which one do you want? They're all good, solid properties. They're not the distressed properties. These are good homes. They don't need to go inside and put money into them. They're ready to rent, right? That's the portfolio you want to build. Because you want to buy a house that's worth 300 today, and in 10 years, it's worth 500 or more, right? And your renter paid down the debt, and you made a few dollars. And should you talk to your investor about, hey, Mr. Johnson, are we going to be putting these homes in your name, or how do you want to do it? Should they be in their personal name?
No.
Never. If they don't know, and often a lot of them don't, they need to open up that corporation. All this stuff needs to go to a corporation so they can take advantage of all those tax breaks, right? That all comes into the bottom line of what they'll end up doing, right? So, any questions on that? Here's Hans from Clinton, New Jersey. He says, hey, the program's been great for me. Since learning Material, I've gone back into my pipeline to some investors and currently created 2 deals with one investor who was buying a 2-family, and we just got an accepted offer on a flip, all using the booklet and in the first month. The thing about Hans, as I read it here the first time, was he did what? He went back into his pipeline. Now, you've been an agent 13 years. I imagine you've come across investors in the past, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So once you learn how to service them with a lot more efficiency and show them, that you've done your homework and you're be a better agent for as an investor, they're going to start to listen to you a little more, you think? Yeah,
That's why they
for
work
sure.
with me.
I mean, because as an investor, people with money, they're going to start talking to different agents. And Josh, they're going to wait until they get to one that knows that they know what they're doing, right? Even if you're a novice, if you've learned it, they're going to deal with you, right? So let's talk about this letter. This letter is another way to go out there and find properties. I'll read it to you. It says, Dear Clay, I'm writing to you about your property located at 17 Elm Lane in Etna. I'm not suggesting you sell your property if you don't want to. However, inventory is tight right now, and I have clients like Mr. Matesic who want to buy a four-unit building just like yours in your area. That is why I specifically sought you out. Even if you're just curious about what your property will sell for, please call, text, or email me, and I'll be glad to give you a free property valuation. All of my contact information is provided below. Sincerely, and boom, all the info. Let's kind of dissect this letter here. It's just a short letter. It only takes less than a minute, 30 seconds to read it. Now, as you can see, it says, Dear Clay. When we want to send these letters out, it's got to be personal. It's not Mr. Johnson, right? It says, I'm writing to you about your property located at 17 Elm Lane in Edna. What's Clay thinking right now?
This guy knows what I have.
And that's what I have, right? So is he going to keep reading? Why? How does he know? I'm not suggesting you sell your property if you don't want to. What did I just do, Steve?
It's pushing.
I just relaxed him. He's not feeling like, okay, he's selling it. He's trying to sell me something here. No. Then he says, however, inventory is tight right now. Is inventory tight in our city?
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I'm just telling them what's going on, which most people who live in the city know it's a seller's market, right? I'm just reaffirming. And it says, I have clients like Mr. Machasik. What did that just tell him?
That you have buyer
Yeah, buyer.
ready.
Ready to go.
And I actually told him
The name.
a person, because you could say I have clients and then just leave it at that. That really just sounds like a form letter, right? But when we call out, now, when you do this, you definitely need to have a real person, okay? You gotta have a real person. And it says here, who want to buy a 4-unit building just like yours in your area. Just narrowed it down even more, didn't I? Right? Narrowed it down. That's why I specifically sought you out, right? So even if you're just curious about what your property would sell for, please email me and I'll give you a what? A free property valuation. How long does it take to do a CMA as an agent?
5 minutes.
Less than 5 minutes probably, right? So it's really not a lot of skin off our back, but do people like free? Now, Clay here, I'm going to show you in a minute, we should know already how long he's owned the property. And this is the reason he got a letter from me, because he's owned it past the span that, we know if it's toward that 9 to 11 years, hey, it could be time for him, he's got a lot of equity, let's go put that money to work and leverage and get more properties, right? So he reads this, he's going to say, well, They give you a free valuation. I think my property's worth this, but it may be worth this. I don't know yet. But the agent's gonna do that. So again, the letter's all designed to what? Just have them call you, have them call you. So you don't wanna expand on this anymore. You just wanna keep it short and sweet. And again, letter form, handwritten, because as they're going through the mail, if it looks like it's junk mail, it's going in the can. They won't even open it. But the open rate, white envelope, no windows or anything, the open rate's high. The open rate's high. And then they just open it and see that, right? And then they obviously know because you gotta disclose everything. You're an agent and you're looking for that.
It looks like it's an invitation or something.
It could be, right? Again, anytime you can handwrite, you know, and I hand sign every single one of mine, because again, this is another strategy, you send in anywhere from 25 to 50 a month. You don't need to send out hundreds. Especially in the beginning, because what if you send out 50 letters, Steve, and you got 6 clients, and it takes time to go through this, to find these properties for these people. You could overload yourself. Now you're not actually servicing them. They're gonna be upset with you and you're gonna lose them. So be careful on how many you do send out. This is the type of marketing that actually works. So we gotta be careful how to use it.
So to start, you would recommend about 25?
About 25. Now, this here is a picture of an app, this is Tycor's app. It's actually an app that's around the whole country. This is like a white label thing for Tycor. Since you knock on doors, do you use the knocking app? So does this look kind of familiar? Is this the one you use?
Owner's title, I use the one for agent 1.
Okay. All right, so here's the deal. They're all basically the same. They do the same thing. As you can see in the photograph here, I mean, when you pull this thing up, there's red and green doors. Green doors representing who? Owners. And if you're knocking out there, actually physically knocking, which doors are you going to knock on? Are you going to knock on a red door? Because they're renters, right? The red is the renters. But for me, I want to send this letter out to someone who's renting. That means they're an investor. So over here, on this particular one, I know, let me ask you, you've been doing this 13 years here, what was the bottom of our market in the pricing point? What was the least, when did it hit bottom?
Which year?
Here in Vegas. Here in Las Vegas, what was the pricing?
11, 12?
Yeah,
Something
mid
like that.
12, mid to the end of 12. That's 6-8 month period. Like we know condos were going for 20, 30 grand. You could buy a house in Summerlin under 200,000. I mean, that was the bottom. So as I'm looking, and I'll click on a red door, and this information pops up. They've done all the homework for us. We know the year the house built, but I always go to the sale date. When did that person buy that house? Because if we know the average hold time for an investor before they want to sell is between 9 and 11 years, do I want to contact someone if this said 2015?
No.
No, they haven't owned it long enough to make their money yet, so they have to hang on to it. So I'm not going to mail anything to them. But knowing our market, that the bottom was right in this area, this person bought this 1,641 square foot house for 150 grand. What do you think that house is worth today?
Double.
Double at least. So knowing that that's what the sell price of it was, but if you put 25% down, that's like 40 grand. So he's probably sitting on almost $200,000 equity, right? Now, our city's a little different than that 9 to 11 year average because our city's been really going crazy like this, right? So would this be somebody I want to send a letter to? Yeah. Now, this actually, so there's 3 pieces of information that we need to be able to send that letter out. We need to know who owns it. We need to know the address of the property itself. And more importantly, we need to know the address of the owner,
Where they did
right? That's the 3 things we need. This has told you the year it was bought, what he paid for it, blah, blah, blah. We know it's a rental because our app told us it was a rental. So this app is designed for what you've been doing, to go knock on the green doors and ignore the red doors. I do the opposite. I ignore the green doors. Those people there, I don't want to talk to them, right?
Which is this app?
This is through Tycor Title. It's a free app. It doesn't cost anything.
And how do you have this?
You just download it on your phone.
Download it on your phone.
Any
No,
title
I
company.
understand, but I never had this.
It's been out a while.
Tycor.
The new one, the one they just updated, it's a lot easier to navigate through.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
This one's, when you're here, you just swipe over and you get this page. There's actually, so the address to the owner is actually a little bit below. I just couldn't fit it in there for this purpose. So all that information's in there though. Again, we're all about gathering information so we can go find those people out there. Because again, just by definition, it's a red door, he's an investor. I just don't know yet until he calls me what type of investor and how long he's been one yet. But he's got $200,000 in equity. Can I help him? Can I help him grow his portfolio? 100%. So Steve, going out there, you're new and you've been doing your sphere of influence, right? Calling all those people. Tell me, I mean, does it make sense to go after the people that we're not guessing that they want to do something? We know that the probability is high that they want to do something. And even in this guy's case, because he's only owned it how long? Yeah, he hasn't held it down, but he's got a lot of equity. Could we help him grow his money a lot faster? So getting on the phone and having those right conversations. And if you do that, are you his new best friend? Absolutely. Because I'm just going to show you, 5 years ago you put 40 grand to work. You got 200 now. I'm going to show you how to put that 200 grand to work and just go get yourself, how many more properties could we help you buy with that $200,000?
4.
So how many transactions did we just create?
At 300,000.
So how many transactions did you create for yourself?
What, sells that at 5?
5 transactions. Because you sent one letter to this guy, because you know he's got $200,000 equity, and he doesn't, maybe he's not even thinking about it, he's just busy doing whatever he does, I don't know, but we've got to trigger their minds to think.
They don't know what they don't know.
They don't know what they don't know, but we know. Is that house on the MLS?
No.
No, it's not on anybody's radar. But you can see how much red, and this, you know, this is any given page that you open. That's about the ratio of rentals to owners in this city, and probably any given city across America. So there's a plenty and plenty of opportunity out there. We just have to do our homework. Which as an agent, what do we do all the time, Nadia? We're just doing homework, trying to figure out where am I getting my next transaction? Where's my next client, right? So rather than that, I create clients. You just created them. Does that make sense? So awesome, awesome, free. Again, who doesn't like free? Right? So write that down, the letter strategy. How many transactions do you think you can get in 1 year? Going out there and finding these people and creating relationships and doing business with them. What do you think that will do for you? Again, just kind of a gut, no math, just kind of a gut. Just put a number down. Sound fair? Okay. Let's talk. Judith Johnson here. Says, hi Gary, I'm so excited. I used the letter you provide. I sent it Friday. The first call came in on Saturday. The gentleman owns a $3 million residential property and wants to sell. He's already sent me everything I asked for. Rent rolls, appraisal, P&L for 3 years, everything. And today I got my second call from a woman who also owns a $3 million property who wants to get out. She's tired and wants to retire. She knows my broker too. Hers is a mixed-use property. I'm so excited. Please call so I can have a strategy call. Thank you, Gary. Judith Johnson. Obviously, Judith hit a home run here, right? Because first, how many letters did she send out? 23. If we just do some fast math, $2-3 million properties that she got through those letters, what kind of commission is she looking to make? Well, she goes on to say, hi Gary, I got an offer on the apartment complex on Saturday. The investors love the numbers and are viewing the complex in detail today. The offer is 3.5 and my commission is 2%. Talk to you soon. Thank you. 2% of 3.5 million, what's your commission? $70,000. Steve, how much did it cost her to send out 23 letters? $12? $12. Now listen, I'm not saying you guys didn't send out letters. She obviously hit a home run. You know what I mean? Found 2. But Gary's been doing this workshop across the country for a little over 5 years. He's got over 8,000 agents, students around the country doing exactly what I'm teaching you here today. And they're all having successes, okay? Different levels. Obviously, again, this is a home run. I'm not gonna tell you it's normal. But we don't know when we market who answers that phone. Because even in the example of the walking app, and that guy owns that property, how do we know he doesn't own more properties? Gary shared a story with me that one of his students said, Gary, the letter worked awesome. I got this guy on the phone and same thing, exactly as I just described. So that one worked out. And then the gentleman tells him, he says, you know what? I want to clear out my portfolio. I have 52 properties. Do you think you get to sell me my 52 homes?
Oh, my goodness.
Boom. I mean, because what did the other lady say? She's tired and wants to retire. So when we're calling these investors, it could be somebody who's been investing for the last 25 years. I don't know. And they built this portfolio, and the whole reason to build a big portfolio is so you can cash out. So when you're mailing out these booklets to these doctors who are 45 or 50 and go, listen, I want to buy houses for 20 years, I'm going to finish my practice, I want to sell my portfolio, off to the sunset I go. Right? So portfolios are sold when they reach the end of their time, so they just get tired. I don't want to deal with it anymore. Cash me out. I've got a ton of them. You know what I mean? They want to actually retire with some money. Does that make sense? So we don't know when we answer. Workshops. You had mentioned that you did a workshop, or you did an event. Event, workshop, kind of the same thing. You guys are in a workshop right now, right? Learning this. Have you ever thought of doing your own workshop to generate business? So Gary has. Gary, again, kind of stumbled on this one also. I mean, workshops have been happening forever, right? So he had a couple of people he was doing business with that became friends and said, hey, we want to know more about, you know, the investing and what you're doing and stuff, you know. There's a few of my friends, can you kind of teach us and get us in a room? He said, yeah, no problem. I can do that for you. So he created this little workshop, and 9 people showed up the first night. He did a 2-hour workshop, taught some great things, and they said, hey, Gary, that was awesome. We want more. We want to learn more. We want to learn more about investing and how and where to put our dollars, just everything he was teaching them. And so Gary thought, because it was just a one-time thing for him the first time. So he thought, well, okay, let me think about it. And they said, well, we can pay you, because he did it for free. He's like, well, it's not about that, not about the money just yet. He says, I tell you what, I'll do it next month for you on one condition. Each one of you guys brings one more person here to learn, and then I'll do it for free. Okay, cool. A month later, 18 people in the room, teaches them, ends up getting a transaction that night out of one of the new people that came in, who happened to be looking for an agent. Because when you do these workshops, you come in, you're the one who's presenting the workshop, so you give them who you are, your little background on who you are, right? And what you do, and then you can do your workshop. You can also bring in guest speakers, right? Hey guys, what do you want to learn next month? Hey, can we learn about XYZ? No problem. I know somebody who's in that, and I'll get him out here. Boom, next month. He ended up going on to, from the first one that he did of 9 people, in 10 months grew it to 75 people that were showing up, which becomes almost like a RIA meeting, right? Now in Gary's case, he was talking strictly about real estate and everything that goes with it, and the flipping of the houses and all those sorts of things. But people kept coming to the meeting because those are the things they wanted to know about. So Gary shared a story with me about, so he did one, and one of the gals in there is a new agent at his brokerage, says, hey Gary, I love that workshop concept, but I'm a brand new agent, and I don't know enough to teach people about real estate. He says, well, you don't have to have a workshop that teaches them about real estate. You can have a workshop about anything, because it's not about that. It's about getting people in a room on a monthly basis, and it grows, so people who know who you are. Because, Nadia, do you know the statistic of how many people use their same agent again? So Mr. Johnson bought a house, you know he's going to call you in 5 to 7 years, possibly. How often does that actually happen?
Mostly all the time.
Statistics say 83% of people do not use their same agent.
Really?
83%. Why is that?
Just in for the one sale, and that's it.
Well, one,
Quick get.
it is our job as agents to stay in touch, right? Christmas cards, you know, their birthdays, that kind of stuff. The problem is, and I'm sure you've lost people with this, Nadia, over the years, is when Mr. Johnson's ready to say, you reach out to him at that 5 to 7 years, hey, you think you maybe might be ready to, you know, upgrade your house, do whatever, and like, you know what, Nadia, I am going to sell my house, but you know what, my brother-in-law got licensed, and I've got to use him. Or my best friend, or whoever, you know. Because even though you try to stay in their face for years, they don't always come back to you. The statistics show 83% no.
Really?
Yeah, that's the stat.
I didn't know.
83%. Again, just because when, like you guys are new agents, so hopefully your spirit, we're taught to go chase our sphere of influence, right? You're telling your sphere of influence, hey, if you know anybody who's looking to buy or sell a house, could I be the agent that represents? Can you refer me? Oh, Josh, awesome, you're in the business? Cool, yeah, when I hear somebody, I definitely will. But the problem is out of sight, out of mind. And/or you feel obligated to give them the business. And that's part of why that statistic is what it is today, right? So that being said, when you're doing these workshops, we always need to be in front of people. So he goes on to tell that agent, young gal, she told him, she says, Gary, I just got divorced, I got a couple of kids, I need some transactions, I have to make money. I got my, these kids I gotta feed now. He said, all right. She says, so what can I do? He's like, well, let me think about it, let me pray on it tonight, I'll get back to you tomorrow. So he goes back, the next day he comes back to the office and he sees her and he says, hey, I thought about it last night and I know what you can do for your workshop. She's all excited, awesome, awesome, what can I do? He says, well, yesterday you shared with me that you're a newly divorced single mom. She says, yep. He goes, that's your workshop. You go create a workshop that brings in single moms. Do you think there's a lot of single moms out there? 100%. So you're gonna start the workshop, you're gonna talk 10 minutes about who you are, what you do, your broker, all the features and benefits of someone working with you. And then you ladies are gonna talk about being single moms. Because you're gonna get a room of, I've been a single mom 6 months, 6 years, 10 years, whatever. You think the commonality is that they wanna help each other, right? And she went on to grow that workshop over a year's time to like 70 or 80 something people, and started generating an average of 2 transactions a month from it.
Wow.
Because they had commonality as being single moms. And she started it and she brought some guest speakers that talked about different things, but it was more about, it just becomes a kinship. And when you're close to people like that, when they do, either it's them or they know somebody, are they more likely to refer you?
You become the source.
Yeah, you're the source. Oh, yeah, listen, I know Nadia. Yeah, she does these workshops I go to every month. She's an excellent agent. I think you should call her. Awesome. If you're referring, then I'm going, right? So these workshops are a great source to go out there and find business, right? And we can find investors this way also. So it doesn't have to be about that. Find something that maybe you're an expert in that you can talk about that's over and above what that may you being an agent. You just want to be the go-to person in the room. And just do it once a month. You don't need to do it every week. Now, the question, Steve, would be like, well, where do I hold my workshop? Right? Rooms cost money.
No, loans, they always
You look for
need.
sponsorship,
they
people
do.
that want to get involved and speak.
There's more free rooms in any given city than you might realize. I'll give you an example. Your public libraries, they all have rooms we can use. Our public schools have rooms we can use. School gets out around 3 or whatever. They don't actually shut down those doors till about 7. You could work, because we're taxpayers, they're by law have to let us use those rooms. We go in there and negotiate a time and date, right? The thing about getting free rooms that Gary's found out over the years is this. You can get a free room as long as you're not in there selling them something. If you're in there educating and showing value to people, then people let you use their room. I went the other night to a meetup group that was held at Findlay Chevrolet, over off of 215 over there. They have a really nice conference room in there. Tables, big TV to do, whiteboards, free. Because we weren't selling anything, we were just meeting as a meetup group. So I talked to the organizer, I said, how'd you get this room? She goes, I just came in here and asked them. They're like, yeah, because they figure if you've got 20 or 30 people coming to the dealership, right? Is someone going to get triggered to go, you know what, it might be time for me to buy a car.
Yeah.
And so because they let them use that free room, they might get a car sold that night.
What about this one?
I use this room here because Nova is my go-to lender.
Yeah.
I don't get charged for this room because I'm bringing you guys in here. He leaves this for you. I highly recommend you give them a shot because these guys are all in-house, everything. Awesome home originators here. They're one of the top in the country.
I used to do a lunch, when I owned my business, I used to do a lunch and learn at one of the
Retirement communities.
Yeah, retirement communities are great.
The community centers.
Yep, they got theirs. So there's tons and tons of places where you can get it. You just gotta show value, right? You just gotta show what you're doing, and they'll get in there. So, great strategy, once a month, grow it, right? You don't need to fill up the room day one, you know? Try to get at least 5 or 8 or whatever in there, and then grow it. Again, just tell them, listen, guys, we're gonna do this again next month. You're all welcome to come back. You have to bring one person with you. Bring one person with you, and come on back, right? So, the case study here. Good morning, Gary. Thanks for the follow-up with us. Things are going good. We had our meetup last week. Awesome. Including us, we had 24 of the 29 that RSVP'd. We received a lot of great comments from the majority who attended, and all of them stated that there was a lot of value added. All 3 of us had a part in the presentation, and it flowed wonderfully. Our guest speakers did great. So as you can see, you got to bring and add some value. These 3 ladies did it together. So do you have to do the workshop alone? No. You're in an office, all you guys are in offices, and oftentimes you're part of a team sometimes, or you just kind of made a kinship with another agent. You just want to go through business and have somebody there that's not a partner per se, you know what I mean? And it goes on in there to say, hey, listen, they got 4 people that attended that they're doing business with, right? So these workshops definitely work. Gary was averaging at least 2 to 4 for 2 years. Every month he would get transactions. Just being the go-to as he built that thing up. Okay? How much does this cost? Free. You might want to bring refreshments or something, you know, so you might invest a couple of bucks. But it's nowhere near what we talked about. Nowhere near what we talked about, right? And again, now you're actually speaking to people rather than just throwing against the wall and seeing what sticks. So the final one here is called the Bank Tracker. It's banktracker.com. How many banks are in this country? Do you know the number?
Thousands.
Thousands. Thousands of banks across this country. Do they all lend mortgages?
Most.
Most of them do. Now, at any of the big boys, Wells Fargo, Chase, B of A, all those guys, they all have mortgages, as we all know. Now, when something goes into foreclosure, who's the person that handles that in those banks? Do you know what they're called? They're called asset managers. Those are the people that handle all those foreclosures REOs. The odds of you, me, the average agent, talking to an asset manager, slim to none. Because obviously there's millions of agents in this country, thousands of banks, but their desks are piled, right? Those big boys are. So we're not gonna be able to get in there and talk to them. If they do call you, they want you to do BPO after BPO, and have you done BPOs, Nadia? Like for 50 or 100 bucks, you can do a BPO. It's a lot of,
I don't want to
it's,
do it.
nobody wants to do it. They're not fun to do. The newbies will do them, but they're just not fun to do, right?
They never gave me any.
Yeah, they don't give you, you're not gonna get deals from them.
I was doing, I said.
Yeah, like,
give me a
yeah.
break.
Same thing with Gary. He did it for a year, and he goes, you know what, I'm tired of dealing with you guys. I'm not making any money, you're
Yeah.
wasting my time. Giving you
Me too.
$50 for a BPO.
Yeah.
Like, I got better things to do with my time. But what he did learn was this. So banktracker.com was developed by these gentlemen in the early 2000s. They wanted to know how many banks are in America. And there's literally thousands, and there's a website here that tells you where all of them are. So what Gary did find out was, okay, I'm not gonna deal with the big boys, Wells Fargo and them, B of A. Let's put the small banks, local banks. That's where we wanna go, small local banks. So what classifies a small local bank? 1 to 10 branches. That is classified as a small bank. Do those banks lend mortgages? Yes, they do.
No,
Do those banks have foreclosures?
yes,
Yes, they do. If they're lending money, they got foreclosures. So what he did with this particular bank right here, the First Commonwealth Bank, this is in Pennsylvania, he thought to himself, after he got all disgusted with the big boys, he goes, I'm gonna go visit the small banks. I know they gotta have them. So he went on, put his best suit on, got his briefcase, walked into this bank, went up to the receptionist and said, hi, I'm Gary Wilson. I'm a real estate agent with Keller Williams. I'd like to speak to who's in charge of your foreclosures. I'd like to talk to that person. Well, the receptionist lady said, well, yeah, that person's not available, so yeah, you'll have to try another time. Pretty much just shoot him out of the bank, right? So he left, like, man, that was quick. She didn't want to give me the time of day. But he says, well, I'm not a quitter, I'm going back. And he went back about 3 weeks later, right? He walks back in the bank. Same lady sitting there, receptionist. There's a gentleman standing next to her at that particular time, and she walks in, and he thought to himself, I'm not gonna go in fully suited down, I'll just go like professional. He walked in, introduced himself again. Hi, I'm Gary Wilson, real estate agent with Keller Williams. She says, oh yes, I remember you. You were here just a few weeks ago. And then she whispered in the man's ear, and he shook his head. She had told him what happened. And he says, hi Gary, my name's John, I'm the bank manager. And my receptionist pretty much shooed you out of here a few weeks ago, didn't she? He's like, yeah. You wanna know why? He's like, yeah, well, I thought, you weren't around or something. He says, no, you came in that day. I had about 4 people sitting over here waiting, and you threw out a word in a bank that should never be heard. You walked in here and said, I want to talk to somebody about foreclosures at the bank.
Yeah.
He goes, do you think that made me happy that my clients that are sitting over here heard you say that?
Yeah.
Because in their minds, they might be thinking, man, this bank must be really tough and foreclose fast. I mean, I want to do business with them. So that's why they shoot him out, right? So Gary apologizes. So sorry, I didn't know. Truly sorry, but you know what? I'm a really good agent. I'm really good at what I do, and I'd like to see if I could help you here. Service your foreclosures. So Gary says, I tell you what. Again, I apologize for what I did, but do you have foreclosures on your books? Yes, we do. He says, if I can do one transaction for you, I can prove to you how efficient and what a great agent I am, and I'd like to then be your go-to agent for your foreclosures. So you don't need to go find one when you need one. So the guy thought, he says, you just want one? Just one, just to prove myself. So the banker thought, I guess, no harm, no foul. I'll give you one. But I don't know what the stack was, but he said, no harm, no foul. He said, all right, I'll give you one. That was 5 years ago. He still does business with that bank today. He still does business with that bank today. Now, how many small banks are in this city? I found 15. But branches is more like 30 or 40 of them, right? There's banks everywhere. I'll give you an example. Have you heard of Kirkwood Bank?
No.
Nope. I bank at Kirkwood Bank. I started banking with them. I do my banking through them for my investment company, Affinity Homes. Goes to them. Because I learned years ago the same thing. As an investor, I'm more likely to get lines of credit from a small bank who needs business than to go to Wells Fargo and I'm just a number. Do I have an account at Wells Fargo? Yes, I do, because they're the largest bank in the country. So I travel a lot, and I want to make sure I can access funds when I need to, right? Have you heard of Bank of George?
No.
Another small bank local. Kirkwood has 2 branches. Bank of George has 1. Town and Country?
No.
Town and Country has 4 branches.
Wow.
So there's plenty of small banks here, guys, that we can all reach out to. Gary found that the best time to go reach out to these banks are at the end of your workday. We've been out doing whatever. Banks close at 5 o'clock. You want to try to visit that bank between 4 and 5 p.m. Let's not bother the bankers when they're in the middle of their day doing anything, because we're basically in there just trying to get some business. So now what he does is, he's finished whatever appointment, it happens to be, oh look, it's 4:10. You know what? I've been meaning to stop by this bank over here. I'm gonna go cruise in there real quick, have myself my packet ready maybe, explain what I do, and I can help you. Right, going in there. Great strategy. Everybody ignores these little banks. They all have foreclosures on their books. Now, the banks, the small banks, don't have asset managers. They have what they call portfolio managers. So when you walk into the bank, you're not going to say, I need to talk to the person about foreclosures, right? We're not going to use that word in the bank. That's like screaming fire in the movie theater. You don't want to do that. So you're just going to say, I'm looking for the portfolio manager. The portfolio manager. And then have a private conversation in their office, right? We don't want to piss the bankers off. Just get in there and have a good conversation. Any questions about the banks? Yeah, there's a lot of them out there. Again, online, you'll find them all. You'll find them all, okay? Same thing, how many transactions do you think you could get visiting a bank once, maybe twice a month? In 1 year's time, and you develop a relationship with any given bank or multiple, do you think you could get in 1 year? In 1 year. Just jot it down, whatever that number is, jot that number down, okay? So, let's kind of do an assessment. How do our actions today, how did I do so far, right? Did I show you the prosperity of being an investor agent? Did I show you that? Right? Did I help you isolate your needs, help you assess why to take action as an investor agent? Again, versus traditional agent, right? Did I give you 3 tools and 4 investor agent strategies for immediate prosperity? Can you guys do this tomorrow? Yeah?
I need a letter sample, I need a booklet sample.
Yeah.
I'll do it tonight.
You can do that, yeah, you can definitely do this tomorrow, right? Did you know that you can sell at least 1 more commission as a result of this 2.5-hour class? Do you believe that? Of course you can. So let's see what's possible. Let's just do a little math. What did I do? Here it is. So you all should have 4 numbers. Add up your 4 numbers. What are your 4 numbers all together? We'll start with you, Nadia.
What numbers?
We're supposed to add up at each strategy, how many transactions will you get using this method? If you use each one of those 4 methods, how many transactions in 1 year do you think that would get you?
I don't know, I didn't put anything.
Did you write it down, Steve?
Yeah, 46.
46.
No, I got it.
Did you write it down?
I
Josh?
only wrote one, I did 10 additional a year for one strategy. I didn't do the others.
Well, what do you think? Let's just throw some quick numbers. So which one did you do? The booklet or?
Yeah.
Okay, then we had the letter. How many transactions? And again, not clients, because clients are gonna give you multiple transactions, so don't say clients, say transactions.
Okay, so transaction, you're looking, I'm anticipating to work with about 2 additional clients. So transaction, let's say 2 per client.
So, and in 1 year's time, that's what?
So that's 40 times 12, 4 times 12.
48.
Yeah.
All right, that's one. And then, I think you stepped out during the workshop, did you?
Yeah.
We talked about workshops, that's about holding workshops, that's definitely a strategy, right? And then we talked about the bank, visiting the banks. I don't know, give me a round number. What do you think on 4 of these strategies, if you did all 4 strategies in 1 year's time, how many transactions? Steve came up with 46.
It'll be about the same, anywhere between 40 to 50 transactions.
Let's just go conservative 40 then. Nadia, are you good with these numbers?
Oh, absolutely.
Is that about right? Well, let's just do some math. We already know that the median sale price in this city, we'll use round numbers for simple math, is 300,000, right? On a $300,000 property, how much? What's our commission? What can we make?
2.5, 3.
So let's go conservative and say the 2.5. We all want 3, right? We all want 3 or even 4, but let's just say it's 2.5. So if you're making 2.5% on 300 grand, how much money is that?
7.
Yeah, it's about $7,000, right? That's the commission. If we multiplied that times 40, that's a $280,000 a year. Is that a good year?
Ooh,
You be happy?
absolutely.
Well, I tell you what, let's cut it in half. Let's say you only did 20, and you cut that in half, and you made 140 grand. Is that a good year? Because I'm conservative. Maybe you just got too optimistic, I don't know, right? So, and we cut it in half. Is that pretty conservative, do you think? But what do you have to do to be able to achieve that? We talked about it in the very beginning.
Action.
Exactly. You have to take action. We have to do it. But how much money are we talking on a monthly basis that you need to invest?
Like 60
We talked about the booklets, we were what, 65 bucks a month? 25 letters are gonna cost us what? 12 bucks? 90 bucks? 100 bucks? Let's just round it off, $100 a month. Before we calculated that you had to spend, that the average agent, right, and they're all doing the same thing, need to spend how much money? $300 to $500 a month, at minimum, to try to go get that. And if you're not spending that money, then you're not getting transactions. And then they're wondering why they're not making money, right? Because you have to invest in yourself. You have to put money, you have to make money, you gotta spend money. But you don't spend a lot of money. That's the key, right? So when you learn how to do this, it's not about spending a lot of money, it's about knowing where to spend money. So I just showed you a strategy because on the app, right, how many red doors are out there? Hundreds and hundreds, thousands. So conservatively at 20, that's a pretty good year. I don't think any agent in the city would cry about making 140 grand. But if you start seeing success, Josh, are you gonna stop?
No,
No,
multiply it.
exactly. You're gonna keep going hard at it. So, okay, your objective, do you know what you need to do now? Right? Take action. Do you know anyone who would benefit from this workshop? You guys are new, but you probably know some agents. Nadia, you probably know a boatload of agents, right? Do you think any of the agents you know who are really out there maybe struggling could benefit from this class?
Sure.
Yeah. It's a free 2.5-hour class. Why wouldn't you? These are very simple, easy strategies. All right? So what I want to talk to you next about is what Gary's opportunity for you guys if you really want to take yourself to the next level, because you can definitely do what I just taught you. There's definitely a lot more to learn about working with investors to really do what Gary did and do 100 transactions a year with no assistance and little to no or free marketing, right? If you think that's what's for you. This will just take us about 15 minutes, okay? So this is for you if you don't care for open houses. We talked about people do that. Night showings, cold calling, or door knocking, right? If you like the freedom of your license but not the fluctuating income, because what's the life of a real estate agent? Peaks and valleys. All we want to do is shorten that up, right? Shorten that up. If you want more respectful and professional relationships with your clients, you want more control over your schedule and your life, and you want repeat clients. At the end of the day, you want more commissions. Steve, if you're servicing, I don't care if it's only 2 investors, and you're helping them build a portfolio, what is the likelihood that they're going to refer you on a regular basis?
Pretty likely.
Pretty likely. I like to say, as a byproduct of the 20 that you think you might get using the strategies, you're going to get at least 5 more as a byproduct of referrals from that person, those people you're servicing. Because you're always in their face, right? Because of an investor who, when you build a big picture, hey doc, you're 45, you want to finish with a portfolio of $5 million in the next 15 years or 20 years, well, we're going to reverse engineer this. You need to be purchasing at least 4 properties per year in order to reach this goal. Well, I have an extra expendable from my income, $200,000 a year, or whatever he tells you, right? So you're always in his face because you need to buy 4 properties a year for him. So that doctor's gonna come to you every time, hey, I got another 50 grand. Steve, go give me a property. Now, when you build that relationship with that investor, at one point, Steve, after you've done probably the 2nd or maybe even 3rd, do you think that that investor's gonna trust you?
Sure.
So do you think that when the investor calls you up and says, hey, Steve, I've got that extra, another 50 to buy another property at that range, go find me a property, you say, I'll be back in touch with you in a couple of days, you call him back up, hey, Mr. Johnson, I just found this property, 123 Main Street, and you tell him all the numbers, and you could even send them the pictures. Do you think that you guys even want to go look at the house? Awesome, awesome, Steve, looks great. Where are we going to do we're going to use the same title company, I'll just wire over all the money? Yep, awesome, done. So do we need to drive around and show houses? Do we need to, is he going to make a decision? Oh, I like this one, or I don't like that one? No. It almost becomes like a waiter, just order taking. Because he trusts you, he knows your business, he knows the systems that you're using, he's just got to put more money to work, right? And again, because we're in their face all the time, they're out talking to whoever, you're going to call my guy Steve, he's totally hooking me up. He's already built me in the last 3 years, I bought 12 properties. Building my portfolio. Really, I want to build a portfolio because who do doctors hang around with? Who do dentists hang around with? So do they all have friends? Yeah, they all go to their conventions, right? They have their big annual conventions all the time, and they go there. Are they going to be bragging about this portfolio they've been building? Oh, awesome, awesome. Hey, how'd you get into that? Blah, blah, blah. Oh, it's awesome agent. It's totally just hooking me up. right? And so you're gonna get it. That's what all this explains. Lana, you've been an agent 13 years, you know what it's like out there. It could be tough, it could be tough, daunting. It's awesome strategy if you're new. It's an awesome strategy if you're new to the area, because I showed you how to dissect the area. It's just data. Marketing is free or very inexpensive. You only have to meet and educate each investor one time. Every time we deal with a traditional buyer or seller, we gotta teach them all over again, don't we? All over again. You gotta understand the process. Investors do the analysis, not you. That's a negotiation. Sometimes they will. If you build a relationship where, you know, they'll pay you a little more because you're gonna do it for them and show them, hey, here's 3, pick one, right? Investors provide the repeat business, and you get more referrals from the investors because you're bringing good, great value. So Justin Vetter says, hi Gary, it's been a busy year. My property management business has more than doubled in the last year, and I'm planning on doubling that next year. I'm also up 7 units of my own and plan on picking up another 5 or 6 next year as well. Thanks for all the help with everything. Have a prosperous and happy new year. What's he doing? He's servicing clients and building his own portfolio. Because guys, if in fact you go out there and do the 40 and you make the 280, is that the lifestyle you're gonna live, the 280,000? Or you're gonna have extra money? And what should you do with it? Because ultimately, Gary's view is we're all agents want to become investors. Because who makes more money, commissions or profits? Yeah, so that's how Gary, he's, you know, independently wealthy now, he's a millionaire, multimillionaire. So it's about that. Go out there, create all those transactions, make that money, become the investor yourself, right? Build your own portfolio. That's the name of the game, that's what this guy's doing, right? Grace Wayne's awesome. She says, I really learned a lot from your class. It's so different compared to the realtor class. I'm making commissions with investors, I'm managing rentals for investors, and I bought my own investment property too. How many streams of income does she have now? 3, right? Commissions, she's managing. Now, that's, for everybody's different if you want to build a property management, you know, division. But if you have yourself, I don't know, 6, 8, 10 investors, and they're all buying multiple properties a year, they're pretty much handing them to you to property manage, because does the doctor want to property manage? Heck no, he doesn't. He ain't got time for that. He's a doctor. He's just putting his money to work. So the strategy that Gary says as we're going out there, and we're gonna stay busy and create those transactions for the year, is you always want in your pipeline between 1 and 3 investors, right? And you're servicing them every month. Over here, over time, this could take you anywhere from 2 to 4 years, anywhere from 10 to 15 plus investors. And if you're serving out of those 15, 1 to 3 on a monthly basis, obviously they're not buying houses every single month forever, right? They're only buying the 2, 3, 4 a year. So it's a matter of just rotating in and out of here, right? Mr. Investor I'm dealing with now, he's done. He's going to sit over here now for 3, 6 months, I don't know. But meanwhile, this guy here, he's built up that down payment money. He's back in my pipeline. And so as long as we just keep servicing and rotating in and out of here, you're going to be having those multiple transactions per month. Does that make sense? To get to 100 transactions in a year, how many do we need in a month? And 100 transactions is going to make you guys what? About $600,000 a year, right? So the goal is 100,000, which Gary did for multiple years, right? How many a month do you need? 8. You need 8. Doesn't really, when you break it down, that doesn't sound like a lot. When you've got all these investors and you're constantly feeding the pipeline, right? Again, it's not going to happen overnight. This is not get rich quick kind of anything. This is a different strategy as a real estate agent to look at. Don't ignore your traditionals. Don't stop calling your spear because you just want to be a full-rounded one. But the reality is 33% of transactions are investors. 1% of agents are out there trying to service them.
There's not a lot of competition.
No, gone. Now, if you're doing this and you're doing what Grace is doing, are you going to be fine when the market does this? Yeah, you got multiple streams of income. You're going to be fine. right? So you don't worry about it. And at the end of the day, when the market goes down, what do you think is gonna happen to your business? It's gonna skyrocket even faster, because when the market is down, what do the investors do? It's time to buy, boys, everything's on sale. Let's double up, let's double up. So the down market is actually the best market to be in, but we can be in any market because we're not chasing those flatliner deals. We're not looking for the distressed properties. Unless you get some professional and he says, hey, I wanna flip one because I'm an HGTV junkie and I wanna do it. All right, I'll go find you one, right? But in our city, they're out there every day. There's hundreds of them, hundreds of, you know, the wanna be on HGTV investors, right? They're out there. But the right way to grow your business, because for you, it's about commissions, making your income, taking care of your families, and doing the things you wanna do.
I have a problem by the way with this, like you said. If you're working right now with investors and you're buying properties that it's on a high price, and when the market starts going down, you know what's gonna happen with your investors? They will be disappearing. They will turn against you and they will tell you, you sold me this. I happen to be there. I've been long enough in this business and I feel so bad for people. They bought the houses 2006, 2007, 2008.
Yeah.
And it's I don't know, that's my problem right now. My investors, they're pretty smart and they bought all the properties when the properties, they were cheap. And they said, wait, why you want me to buy right now, the property? Right now, it's a high market.
So it's about, again, Nadia, we have to look at things, listen, you can look at this as a glass half full or the glass half empty. That's up to you, right?
Yeah,
As
I feel bad.
As far as servicing your investors, when the ones that did buy it at the low point that we talked about, right? That 12, 13 at the bottom, and they're sitting on all that equity, it's time to grow. If they need to know what they're doing. That's why we want to either deal or develop professional investors about growing a portfolio and growing their net worth and having money sit in there. Now again, that was a very unique time in real estate, 05 through 08. Very unique time. Because, listen, if you had a pulse, you could sign on the dotted line and buy a house, right? They didn't check. It was like super easy. That's likely not to happen again. And there's a bunch of different opinions on that, and I won't get into it. But the point is, the investors were buying, but did they take a bet? Yeah, listen, I was a novice investor at the time. I was building spec houses. I lost a ton of money because I wasn't educated. So then I went out and proceeded to spend a lot of money on my education to learn how to do it correctly, right? Learn how to read the markets, learn how to, what I just showed you here today that Gary, showed me years ago. So it's about understanding the market where it's at. And these investors, when we find them that bought that house and they're sitting on all that equity, we don't know what's gonna happen next. But the fact of the matter is, if you buy a property and it's a rental, and when the market does what it does, as long as you're getting positive cash flow because you got a renter in there, you're doing great, you're doing fine. And in a portfolio of someone that you can build that can have 30, 50, 75 houses, if I own 75 houses or 50 houses and 3 of them tank, am I crying? No, it's the law of averages. But if I own 3 of them and all 3 tank, I'm in trouble. So as an agent, I feel it's my responsibility to educate my investor and let them know it's about growing your money, because we've talked big picture. I'm not just here because you want to buy a house right now and tell me the house you want. I'm going to sit down or on the phone, depending where they're at, because not all the investors live here, right? About how I'm going to help you build this big 20-year plan to reach $X. That's your number. It's not my number. I'm not telling you what to achieve. I'm just going to help you get there. I'm just a person serving you in a very systematic, efficient way. Right? No? Does that make sense, honey?
Well, I told you I have a problem with this.
Okay. Okay.
Because if you educate them, and basically you're showing them what they can do, and basically make them buy 5, 6, 7, 8 houses, and in 3 years, the market is plumbing down, and they lost basically half of the.
So are you telling me there's no investors buying properties today in our
They
city?
do, they do.
All day? Are they gonna
They-
stop?
They do.
Are they gonna stop?
But they look for, like I told you, they know the market before, and they said, I'm not gonna buy a house which is 150, 160 per square feet. Find me a house like I told you, it's
Yeah, but when you go find that 100 whatever square foot property, where's it at in this city? What neighborhood's it at in, Steve?
It's not a good.
Low rent district.
Yeah, it's not a good area.
I mean, if they want to be again, I don't have anything against slumlords, but there's a lot of rentals over there on the east side of this city, right? That's where all the less expensive homes are. And there's a lot of investors that own them, but that's just a mindset. So if you are dealing with now, or you think you're dealing with people that have a mindset of what you described, they probably need to be more educated.
Well, I guess that's the $1 million question. What's gonna happen to the market?
Well, that's listen, that's a crystal ball,
Yeah.
that's a crystal ball none of us know, right?
But if you can fill it up
Because,
10%, then
listen,
they have a
we-
portfolio of $2 million, they're making $200,000 a year.
again, we don't know.
Or
Let me ask you this.
Or if they put the money in the stock market, that could go
If
down
they
too.
have,
so-
if they have cash
Exactly.
flow. The basic thing that we have to serve the people to show them how to have a cash flow. Because if the property doesn't have a cash flow, forget about it.
Right. I'm not saying don't find a property without cash flow.
Yeah.
We definitely want to find them, but we can find the properties that we know are going to appreciate a lot faster. Because is the house going to appreciate faster down off of Nellis or up here off of the 215? Come on, that's common sense in this city if you have any pulse on the market. So again, but your dollar stretches further down there, so an investor doesn't have a lot of money and has 100 grand and says, well, I'd rather buy $300,000 properties with 75 grand than going up here and spending these. But that's just what they want, and that's fine. If that's where they want me to find a property, I'll go find a property there. I don't have a problem with that.
You're right, I'll do it also.
Yeah.
I will tell them, but if they wanna buy it, I will.
That's all we can do,
serve them.
right?
It's the source.
We're not their financial advisors, we're here as real estate agents because we have a very good pulse on the market. We know how to locate the properties, unlike 95% of the other agents don't know how to find it. They're just going strictly to the MLS. So the strategies I just showed you, then Grace here, you should take advantage,
You create opportunity versus.
create opportunity. Exactly, and again, ultimately, you've got to become your own investor. So you feel good about saying, Mr. Johnson, if you don't want this house, I'll buy it. But I'm here, my allegiance is to you right now because you asked me to find your property, it's a great deal. And if you don't want it, that's fine. I think it's a great deal, I'm buying it.
Would you buy?
Sure. Absolutely. I believe, you tell me, where do you think this town's going in the next 10 years?
Up.
Of course.
I'm born and raised here, I've been here my whole life. I think our city will reach population 3 million by 2025. We have 32 or 33 million dollars on the books right now of projects that are being built. We've got the Raiders that'll be here, that stadium, you know, it's up and going. You've got that big Sphere thing being built behind the Palazzo. Record low unemployment. If you don't have a job in this city, it's because you don't want to work. There's plenty of work here. There's a giant mass exodus of California. 32% of the people of our transactions are from Californians because it's just ridiculous to live there now. I mean, the taxes are just absurd, right? I mean, the house you could buy, a $500,000 house in this city, pretty nice house. $500,000 in LA? It's an old shack.
Yeah.
I mean, you're like, it's a 1972 whatever, you know?
And
So,
not-
Isn't it like
Not
6,000
only-
people are moving here every week?
Not
it's up.
only,
It's
I-
huge.
I think the other factor that I can see this, I know how many foreclosures we have.
Mhm. Foreclosures are low.
But they don't go on the market.
No.
I think the banks.
Banks are greedy.
They found a way to get rid of the foreclosures, and I think the hedge funds,
Mm-hmm.
they buy all the foreclosures, and that's why we're not gonna have
They-
this slump like
Right, no,
like before.
I don't think the city will go through what it went through back in '08. We were like top 3 that, crashed. I don't believe that, and I don't think anybody
Yeah,
does.
they found a way to.
But
to
remember,
handle.
we're just doing a transfer of wealth here. And if I'm finding investors that are sitting on a lot of equity, and I can show them how they're gonna be able to grow their money instead of it just, you know, if our market raises, on average, any given market, a good year is 4%, right? We're in a ridiculous high one right now. That may not last forever. We'll level out, and we'll be back down to that 4, maybe 5%. But if I can show you how to grow your money at 8 to 10% by leveraging the big equity you got, am I not servicing you and doing a good thing for you, right? And so you sold those to a different investor possibly, or they could be happening. And you're right when you say the hedge fund guys totally want to be in this game.
They're buying everything.
They want to be in the
all
game.
corners.
They want to be in the game. But the strategies I showed you today, they're not going after. They're not grabbing that Tyco tattle app. He's saying that's the renter. They're not even reaching out to them. They're not reaching out to them. And if your goal out there is to just go find 10 or 15 of them, and there's thousands of investors, and they're from all over the planet that want to invest here. You'll call one after you find that information. They live in Wisconsin. They live in China. They live all over the place. They want someone they can trust that I like to call have boots on the ground that can service them and build those portfolios. Because you'll find investors, oh, I own property in Vegas, Phoenix, you know, Utah, wherever. They own them all over. But they want a good agent that can service them. And the more that you can help service an investor, you're not running around doing open houses, everything else that was described in there. Which in turn gives you what, personally? Freedom, time freedom. You're gonna make more money and have more time freedom, right? Kay Wells, Columbia, first night, first script, first client. Hey Gary, just wanted to let you know that I used the scripts you gave us, including asking for the email recap, Tuesday, and already have a new investor. That was my first day in the program. Thanks. Well, what did she do, Josh? She took action. She didn't mess around. You talked about it earlier. I'm gonna go do this tomorrow. Right?
I just want to know how to do it.
Yeah, you gotta be, you just gotta take action. It absolutely works. This says simplify my prospecting activities, which is huge. Working with investors is simple and efficient. They're a good source of repeat business. Again, real estate agents, you're constantly prospecting. It's what we do. Is it fun to prospect? Everywhere you go, making relationships. If you know anybody who wants to buy or sell a house, can I be the agent that helps you? That's the $1 million question you ask. You should ask it a dozen times a day at least, right? But this guy here says, listen, I don't have to go out there and do that anymore. I'm gonna go find my investors. So here's the problem. 9 agents competing for every 7 transactions. Is that true in our city? 99% of agents use the same marketing methods. Everything we talked about at the beginning of the class. Everybody's doing all of that, right? Less than 5 listings per year per agent. That's the national average. Does that have to be? No. 80% of agents make less than their living expenses. That's why I think it's higher than 80% in this city of agents are part-time. They don't make enough money being a real estate agent. They have to have a job. You gotta pay your bills. You know what I mean? Only 5% of agents thrive. Less than 5% make it 20 years. You're 13. Most agents, they throw in the towel. They're like, I'm tired of being 24/7. Constantly grinding it out, right? So, do you want to be in the top 5%? That's the question. Work less, make more money. Work less, make more money, right? It's just about education, which is what we do all day. Then we've got CE classes all the time, because we have to, and you're always trying to go. That's why you're here, right? You came here to go, what can I learn that's different that will help me grow my business? That's why you're here. So, Path to Profit system, you're the investor agent. You have all 9 of these things to do. You invest with the wholesalers, rentals, build a team if you want to, you get referrals to and from, all these things. Your business, you've got to learn how to make money multiple ways, not just one, right? So here's the program. It comes in 3 parts. Part 1 is 7 modules, learn and earn, delivered via recorded audio-visual webinar written materials. The modules are progression-based to ensure your immediate and ongoing success. What that means is, you start module 1, it's time. It stays open for 7 days before you can open number 2. Because like most people who just want to get to the end and see what do I really got to do? Gary realized that I got to time these things because these module trainings aren't that long. they're 3-4 hours, but he wants you to do them a couple of times that week, each and all of them. He wants you to really learn and understand them. You know what I mean? Than to go out there and, you know, be half at it. So, the time to progress. Part 2 is learning from the producers. There's a live webinar each week, different time, different day. The calendar goes out once a month, and you can be on there to strategize, troubleshoot, network with all the other graduates every single week. Like I said, there's over 8,000 across the country. It's recorded. If you miss it or whatever, we can go back in there and listen to it at a later time, right? And part 3 is you get one-on-one strategy call with Gary each time that you want to do one of these strategies, which means you're going to learn it through the modules, but still, we want to make sure that you're comfortable with what you're getting ready to do. So you're going to have an actual call with the man who developed the systems on what you're doing and what your strategy is and how it's going to best work for you that you're doing it correctly. Does that make sense? Okay. Now parts 2 and 3 are for a full year. You get to be on the webinars and you get that strategy call. The top one is forever. You get to keep that. You can go back in there, redo those modules if you like, once they're all opened up. But clearly it's going to take 7 weeks to actually to get through them all, right? Because they're only opened up once a week, right? So module 1 is identify your best profit strategies, earn more and better commissions. 2, investor rules of engagement. That's probably one of the more critical parts here, is really learning how to have those right conversations with these investors. The minute you sound like you don't know what you're doing, fish off the line. Fish off the line, okay? Agent rules of engagement, earn multiple commissions per client, right? Learn how to do that. 4, done for you marketing. So all of this stuff, the marketing, we don't have to reinvent the wheel. It's already all set up for us. All we gotta do is plug in, right? The multiple streams of income, open the door to the revenues, right? Just like Grace had, right? Show you how to build your business 6-fold. The last 2, I think, are probably, for me, my personal opinion, may be some of the most important. The secrets of financing. Again, you're gonna have people with different belief systems when you get them on the phone. Very debt adverse kind of thing. Well, how do I leverage? What's the best way? All of these things. So we're gonna remove the financial barriers to keep the transactions flowing. We're gonna show them how to do that, right? And the last one is the tax strategies and legal affairs. We all know the paperwork it takes to close on a property. It's, I don't know, 50 pages or whatever. It's just ridiculous, the paperwork it is to do anything. So we've got to learn the tax strategies to teach these folks so they can take advantage of that and grow their portfolios correctly, right? And the secret tactics used in this profit protecting due diligence clauses. So we all know there's due diligence. It's different for an investor than it is a traditional. We've got to know these things. We've got to teach it to them. But you've got to learn it first so you can teach it, right? So all of these things are in there. So there's Gary. He's always got a headset on because he's always having his strategy calls with people. This is the book when you register that said, hey, you get my free Path to Profit book. Tomorrow's follow-up email, it will have the link for the book. You'll have it tomorrow. Okay? So you get all the key components that we just described, the 7 module trainings, the calculators, the spreadsheets, the marketing systems, the multiple streams of income, profit protection clauses, unlimited email support, the mastery series, and the one-on-one private strategy calls. Okay? So, on our website, and we're actually, I think it's 28 cities now. You would go on here. How many times, maybe probably more for Nadia because she's more of a seasoned agent, is where you have a client that you sold their home because they're moving to XYZ city. Hey Nadia, I need to sell my house. I'm moving to, Pennsylvania. Awesome. Well, Mr. Johnson, I'm going to help you sell your house, blah, 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 but I know you're moving there. I have affiliates over there, an agent that can help you, that's going to treat you really good and give you great service. Awesome. Thank you very much. What did you just earn? A referral commission. A referral commission. Now, there's 8,000 students across the country. Do you think people in Vegas, how many people are, our city's growing like crazy? So Gary, they pretty much reach out to my investment services when they do that, and he hands out referrals like candy. But you have to be in the program to get a referral. So this is retail on everything here. These numbers are not even remotely what the investment for you would be today. Today's path on a retail would be 6 weeks of the audio, the 1 year of weekly calls, and the 1 year of the strategy. The total value of $12,298. So apply what you learn, build your business. right? It is really, let me see what I got here, my note that I just forgot. Yeah, you gotta look at where you're gonna go put your money. We know you have to invest money to market your business, that's a given. And your time is your time. And some of you are full-time, some of you aren't, that we gotta be out there. So just, put your money where you, most efficiently where you're gonna benefit from it. So today's path is offered to you today at $29.98, okay? But Gary sweetened the pot about 6 months ago. And he said, I'm gonna give him $10,000 worth of bonuses that are all included. All his blogs, articles, and special reports, you have access to that stuff. If you know a person that you wanna refer to this class and they actually enroll in this class, $500. Okay? You get the exclusive referrals, again, only for the investors. You get one-on-one concierge service with Beverly. She's the head gal at the office. Any kind of whatever issues you might have with the site or the trainings or anything, she's here to help. You can repeat as often as you like for the year, right? And then you get access to the silver membership, which means he's been doing the webinars 5 years. There's like 300 and something of them in there. Go in the search bar if there's a specific topic or something you want to learn on, and go back in there and access it and do whatever training that you want, right? So you have access to all of that. So again, same thing for $29.98, right? You see the value in the program. See the value, Josh? Yeah, of course, it's there. It's worth every penny. It's what, a half of a transaction? Half of a transaction pays for itself?
1/3.
Well, this is how you can take care of it. I get a lot of new agents in here. That dollar amount might be a little strong for you, so he says, listen, option one is that the $29.98 plan is $1,000 down, $333 for 6 months. Make it a little easier. If you want to save $500, I'll take $500 off and you can do it for $24.98. Right? That's a pretty good deal. That's a pretty good deal. If you're seeing the value in there, we know it's just working across the country. So he has a win-win 100% satisfaction guarantee. There's nothing like it. I guarantee that if you do your part, you'll be successful. Thus, I offer an unprecedented 1-year money-back guarantee. So I'll just give you a copy of it real quick here. Basically what Gary says is, if you implement these strategies, you go on the webinars and learn, right? You're on that website, you're learning everything. If you do it for 1 year and you don't make any money, you feel flat on your face, he's going to give you 100% of your money back. Over 8,000 students later, not one person has even tried to cash in on this guarantee. Because they all made money. They've all made money, right? So that's a pretty good guarantee. Do you agree? And the reason it gives you a year, most guarantees when we get whatever we're out there buying, right? What is it usually, Steve? 30 days? 60, maybe 90? But listen, is this a strategy that we're gonna, Judith obviously hit a home run right out of the gate, but is that not likely? So he understands that you gotta get traction and momentum, and that's gonna take time. So it may take you the month to 3 months to really start building and getting that traction, and then you're on a roll and you're gonna be fine. You're gonna be getting these multiple transactions that we talked about, right? So he gives you the full year to be able to learn it, implement it, and have success. And if for whatever reason you didn't, again, it's never happened, he's more than happy to give you a 100% refund. And how often do you get a 100% refund? They always want to keep something. It was whatever fee that they say they want to charge it for something. Something, yeah. It's always something. It's 100% for him. So, hey, take action now and get one for free. We talked earlier about some people are friends/partners in their brokerages. If you know somebody, Steve, you're here with Randy. Randy sent you here.
Yeah.
Then I told Randy, same thing, that, hey, listen, you guys want to do this together. It's a 2-for-1. You pay for one program, and 2 of you both get your own username and passwords and your own trainings, right? Because for Gary, it's about just out here helping. It's his way of paying it forward. He's made and still making tons of his money. But he put this program together to be out here to help the agents, because we know only 1% of agents are servicing investors. So we want to help you guys do that. So he took it to the next level here. He said, I'll give him a 2-for-1. Which means how much on your end? $1,250. Nadia, you know this thing's worth $12.50, right? What would stop you from doing the program?
I'm not gonna do it. I'm
What's,
telling you
tell me,
now.
that's fine, so I'm okay with that, so tell me what's,
I've been through all these, I've been in hundreds. I just was in the other guy who is teaching how to prospect without cold calling, and I've been in hundreds and hundreds. I've been in my fair organization, I've been going through all these scripts and this. Nah,
so how many?
I'm lazy. I'm lazy, I don't wanna do this, I just wanna, I'm working with investors,
Okay.
basically. And,
So you need to work, you need what? You need to educate yourself better to work with them more
oh,
efficiently, right?
yeah, I've been educating myself, I've paid 5,000, teaching myself how to evaluate not only houses. I'm working with multiple units.
Okay.
Commercial,
Multifamily.
Multifamilies. I can, right now I can tell you what
Well, so tell me.
what I know about this.
So tell me,
But it's-
your realtor, how many transactions have you done in the last 12 months?
I didn't want it to come here. Okay, we're not talking about me. It's my decision.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
my
I
life.
totally get it.
If I wanna live like that, I wanna live like that.
Yeah,
That's it.
no,
That's
your
my
time
decision,
freedom.
not your decision or
No,
somebody
no, it's not my
else's.
decision. I'm
If
just,
nobody has the right to judge me, whatever
No,
I
no,
wanna
no.
do, if I wanna make
Do you-
one deal, I wanna make one deal, that's it.
yeah. Do you
But
want
I
to?
don't wanna do this, it's,
That's fine. I
It's-
totally get it. I'm not pressuring you to do it. I'm just asking the
Right.
question. I mean, if you want to grow your
Right.
business, is this a method you think would work for you?
That's why basically, I didn't like this from the beginning, because I'm very difficult to train.
Oh,
Very difficult. I don't go through scripts. If you, I was with my fairy,
Mhm.
well, I don't go to this. I'm outgoing person, having fun. If I have deal, fine. If I don't have, I don't have. That's
Oh,
it.
that's fine then. That's fine. This is not for
That's my
everyone.
life. I don't want to
This-
pressure, I don't want to.
Nadia, this is not for everyone, for sure. This is not for everyone. This is a program that's for the agent who may be new or not new, that says, you know what, I want, or I slash need to do that 20, 40, 50, or 100 transactions a year, because I have my big goals. And if you don't, that's okay, it's not for everyone. And you're perfectly fine.
Absolutely.
I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned some things that you can implement.
I learned.
Yeah, that's great. As long as you did that, I'm happy you're here.
Great.
I'm happy you're here.
Yeah, you told me how to
Yeah.
approach the banks. I've been working with the banks for so long with Summit
Yeah.
relation. They send me all the time BPO, but I never had a foreclosure. But you gave me a good
Yeah,
idea.
see? So,
The
So it's worth your time today.
yeah, sure,
Well, again-
absolutely. I'm not
we'll
against
talk
you.
about, if it did bring you, when I talked earlier, right? If you came for, was that what you wrote down? I asked you to write down, what did you come here to get, right? What was the nugget? So for you, it was the banker
Yeah,
bid.
and the letter,
That's awesome.
the
The
letter
letter?
was
You like the letter?
brilliant.
Yeah.
I love the letter. I will send the letter.
Okay, all right, good, good.
I have similar, and it's personal, and I even offer them to sell them the house for a market value, because, well, right now you have so many
Yeah.
offers. So your letter is much.
Yeah, the letter's good, the booklet.
Very good, the booklet.
The booklet works fantastic.
Absolutely,
Right? Booklet works amazing. I send mine out every month.
absolutely.
And it definitely works.
I
So,
learned.
good, listen, I'm glad. What's a nugget that you learned today, Josh? What'd you like best?
I like that booklet.
You like the booklet?
Yeah, I really want to apply that.
Okay, Steve?
It's very,
Which part?
Yeah, the booklet was good, just learning new ways to kind of,
Yeah, because you're a new agent. You're just still
Yeah,
trying to
so-
figure it out.
targeting the rental properties
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
sending letters to those
Absolutely.
investors that way.
So again, the question is, what are you gonna do with your money? We all know that we're investing monthly on some sort of marketing. You know what I mean? But it's all about educating, and you guys are new, so you've been nonstop learning, probably everywhere. right? But all of your teachings, and Nadia, you just described, you've been to tons and tons of trainings, and they all train you to find who? The traditional buyer seller. Have you
Not
been?
only, I was with this guy who is teaching how to use social media. They have, in Long Beach, they have right now.
A lot of social media trainings out there.
Yes.
A lot of
right
social
now.
media.
Yeah, and I was, you have to understand me,
I totally get you, for sure.
I just try to pick up the good stuff from everybody.
Yeah?
And if I
Okay.
can kind of use this in my business, it's, yeah, but craziness, no.
Okay.
Well, whatever, one deal, one deal, two.
Well, then do me a favor, Nadia.
Right.
Like I asked earlier, as an agent, we all want referrals, right, for business? I've only been doing this class now here in Vegas, I don't know, 3 weeks. So obviously, I'm trying to reach out to more agents. So that's why I asked earlier, if you know of an agent that you feel could benefit from this class, I definitely would appreciate the referral and to have them send out.
I'll tell mine.
On your email that you're gonna get tomorrow is my, my landing page that has the time and dates, because it's different every week. You know, I run my own business too, so I don't pick a set one. I have to look ahead and see when I'm able to come and do it here. So, just send them that, like forward that email that you're gonna get tomorrow, because it has the link to my, my page where it has all the dates and times that I do it. So, awesome. Well, guys, Gary also does, again, we talked about teaching you how to go find and work with investors, and ultimately you becoming the investor. Well, Gary also does this 3-day boot camp that takes you there, but he does them only just for his agents that are in his class, but you're not allowed to go to this thing until you're at least 6 months in the program, because he understands he wants you to learn everything that he's teaching you and grow your businesses before he tries to teach you how to be a real estate investor yourself, because it's too much, right? In less than 6 months, it's too much to learn. Your brain, it's just too much information. So he says, they're all can come, so you get a ticket to this if you come into the program today, and that ticket is good for 12 months. So you can come whenever after, you see the dates, you just pick and choose, and he does them all over the country. Currently, right now, he's on the East Coast. There's one in New Jersey in a couple of weeks, but he'll be after the first of the year, and he said he'll be coming back West Coast, right? To kind of just spread it around. So that's available to the students who come in. Other than that, that's Gary. You can see his high school picture. Same hairdo, same guy. Probably one of the sweetest, nicest, just teddy bear of a guy that you probably would ever want to meet. He's extremely giving back. So that's him. Very nice guy. Usually people meet him when they go to that 3-day event. Other than that, the last one here is from Kevin Butler. From the moment I started, I was set up to succeed. I make my own schedule. The freedom has been priceless for me with this little baby girl. At the end of the day, guys, we all go out there to make money to provide our own lifestyles, whatever they may be. And like you said, it's not my position to tell you what to do. To do 1 transaction a year or 100, that's your business. I can totally appreciate that. We're just here to try to help you get there more efficiently, so you're not driving yourself nutty trying to find these clients. Does that make sense? Any questions? All right. Josh, you ready to get started?
Not today, but I'm definitely looking forward to it.
Okay, is it, you see the value? Is it the investment, or what do you think, or what is it? What about you, Steve?
Yeah, I'm gonna talk it over with Randy, and if he's on board, he'll probably do it.
Yeah?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing in the back of my mind is I still got another job, so I'm kind of like,
Right.
still in the process of just really learning about real estate and figuring it
Well,
out.
can you see how this will save you time?
Sure.
Because you're just narrowing down, right? We're just, with all the data that I tell you how to get, we're just narrowing down and not trying to cast a big net all over the whole city, trying to figure out where my next client's coming from.
And investors are definitely,
Yeah.
I would
So-
like to work with investors.
This is for you to take. Josh, this is Nova. When you get your client, these guys, give them a shot. They're all in-house, everything. Yeah. Call me when you're ready, and then we can process that. I will follow up with you guys.
I'm definitely gonna do this because I like the strategies. I think, I'm already, since I'm doing this full time, I'm really.
Yeah, you're full-time. Nadia?
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I hope you
was
enjoyed it.
fun.
That's
It
one
was
thing
fun.
I'm gonna.
I learned a lot.
I've learned.
Good.
So far, I've been doing this for like 7 months now, since I
Right.
got my license, and, you know, I've already put about, this was my 4th year in escrow in a short period of time, so I'm like, dude, I'm tired of driving around town.
Yeah.
You know, this would leverage a lot more time for me.
That's what it does. It's just gonna give you your time freedom back, and just a lot more efficient. And as soon as you find that first investor, it's like anything, you just gotta get momentum. You'll get that first investor, and then you'll get that second investor, you know what I mean? And again, the program's designed to teach you how to cultivate that relationship to be able to help that person, because that's what we are. As an agent, we're here to serve our clients.
Yeah, because one of the things that resonated a lot with me is I do work with a lot of traditional clients right now that I've been working with, but, you know, I wanted to figure out a way to start scoping and looking out for investors, and that's
Right.
the niche that I want to get into, simply because I know the potential of kind of. So, me being here today, that's why when I signed up, I was like, if I can learn something here that I can apply, perfect. And I think
You did.
I learned more than I expected, so.
I think you did too.
I'm
And,
just, at the moment, I'm growing my marketing budget. That's what I'm building.
Well, again, $100 a month.
Cool, that's not bad.
$100 a month. See, I'll reach back out, I'll follow up with you guys, talk with Randy.
Yep.
Let's get you guys enrolled and get started and start doing your letters and building your packets. You know, that packet, your first time you build one, and that's probably 2.5, 3 hours to put it all together. And then like mine is just, I push a button out, it all just prints out. And then to put the actual packet together, find my names and mail them out, 2 hours. Yeah, it doesn't take long. You know, run it down to $1. Well, mine's 24 pages, it's $1.18 a piece to mail. So depending, but mine has at the back end of it, because I flip homes too, so I put examples at the back end, right? Of my, so just 3 of my own, show all my properties, but anyway, I just put examples, right, the pictures and stuff, and the deal analysis on each of them, because I also, I'm looking for people who just want to put money to work, you know? And so I give them the opportunity to do it.
I like this.
Yeah.
Cool.
Straight back.